Okay. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's May 11th, 2026, 6:30 p.m. Roll call.
Reyes here.
Jones here. Faz here.
Smith here.
Church here.
Okay. Now, when we go to the pledge, before we go in there, I want to make a few comments. There's a lot of appreciation weeks, so I found them all. April 19 through 25 was the Municipal Treasurers Appreciation Week. And then the Municipal Clerks Appreciation Week is 3 through 9 last week. And then National Police Week is this week. And then Public Works Week is the 17th through the 23rd. So one thing I did want to highlight before we do our pledge is Chief Gurecki shared something with me, and we're going to put a post out this week on it. But in the FBI LEDA Insider magazine, there's a page, and there are two Wisconsin towns in there. Ours, notably, is in brighter yellow, is the town of East Troy Police Department, and then the town of Lynn Police Department is also recognized as going through the program. So I just thought it was interesting, and I'd like to congratulate the So now, we do the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So next on the agenda is certification of compliance of open meeting law.
Yep.
We are good. And the next item is approval of the meeting agenda.
So I have one item to note. In March, we had tabled Wake and Hand surfing until January of 2027. So I would propose that we remove item 9A, 1 through 3 from the agenda.
So, first time here, are you suggesting we remove it from the agenda entirely or just from the consent?
It's not
No,
part of the
that's not-
consent
it's not part of
agenda,
the
it's
consent.
we're removing it from the agenda
I would
to take action
dispute
on it.
that because that motion you made violated Robert's Rules of Order. You can't table something beyond the next meeting. So in my view, but I'd like Attorney Mills' interpretation on this, but that's an invalid motion. And I don't feel that this board is bound by it.
If I may be addressed.
Yes.
Okay. So I passed out a handout from an email I received today at 4:12 from the Weld Riley Law Firm. That's the firm that has been suing municipalities on wake surf restriction. I don't agree with items regarding LBMD's maps being inaccurate. I have no information about that under number 2. 3, request to have Supervisor Fonz recuse himself. I'm not fully on board with that either, just because his recommendation falls in line with the letter we received from that law firm. I haven't really spent much time thinking about that, considering the timing of when I got this email, but I don't think that's really a concern for tonight either. But the first one was regarding what was noticed on our agenda this evening and acting not in line with a previous motion that the town board was not going to act to do something. I'm not saying the town board does not have the authority to act if it wants until January of next year. That's not what I'm saying. However, I do believe that because under 9, there are 3 separate actions. I think Supervisor Church was pretty direct that her proposal would be to restrict wake and hand surfing. Under 3, Supervisor Fonz had a recommendation for Lake Beulah. I'm not sure what that is, or if the town would have any enforcement of a recommendation. And I think it would have to be properly noticed up as an ordinance for the town to do anything if someone were violating things. My advice to the board is, with respect to the noticed agenda item, I do think that it would be properly noticed to state if the board wants to do something, that it is proposing action that is not in line with the vote that was taken in March, without really addressing the appropriateness of that motion. I do think that the argument could be made that without noticing up that we are going against what the board voted in March, it should be identified more definitively on an agenda.
Like rescinding it or something?
Yes.
Rescinding that,
Whether that comes with a special meeting, and I know I'm gonna be asking for at least one later today, or whether it comes up on next month's agenda, that's something for the board to consider. But I do think it is at least conceivable that an argument could be made that what we have noticed is not sufficient.
So, per Robert's Rules of Order, how long are we able to table an agenda item for?
I think until it comes back up again. So even though it came back up again tonight, neither one of them really say we are creating any sort of ordinance. And I think a motion would have to be made, one, to rescind prior board action, and then maybe in light of the emergency concerns with the earthen dam that Supervisor Church had raised in her memo, that could be justification for it if you need additional justification. But I just think it needs to be addressed more succinctly. And I didn't really think it was going to be an issue until I got this email at 4:12 this afternoon from the firm that sues municipalities.
And a motion to rescind, does that need prior notice?
Pardon?
Does a motion to rescind require prior notice?
Yes, that would have to be on an agenda that we're doing that action.
It doesn't require prior notice only to allow for a simple majority? I believe a motion to rescind is allowed without prior notice.
It is, but that's not noticed.
Can we not make a motion to rescind without prior notice at all?
No. Any board action that you're gonna take at the meeting needs to be on the agenda. I mean, it could have happened when the motion was made that same evening, if someone wanted to make another motion to rescind.
so what are we doing? What are we doing with 9A?
No action until it goes back on an agenda that's defined.
So no discussion at all tonight on these 3 things?
So if something comes up in an agenda and is tabled,
Yes.
we have to agendize taking it, taking it off the table before putting it back on the table?
I think it's because it was a vote. The board voted that you have to rescind it with another vote, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Honestly,
It
in
was
my
simply
opinion, I think it could go back on, But there's confusion apparently in the notice as to whether recommendations are going to be ordinance versus resolution. Neither of those words appear on the agenda.
Can I, in my agenda memorandum, I made it clear that it is a recommendation that there would not be enforcement. If you read my actual agenda memorandum, that this is strictly advisory. There have been other municipalities that have done that. So it would not be enforceable. I actually explained that in my agenda memorandum.
So it'll be posted at launch site or go on the website?
Yeah, posted it at the launch, boat launch, or, communicated out, and just strictly advisory. So we don't have time to pass an ordinance for this boating season anyway.
No,
And that's
DNR
why.
would have to review it.
That's right.
Get back
Through
to
the
us.
whole process, so this would be an advisory, which would be helpful in terms of being able to, protect the lake, but also see this as a possible solution, get feedback, and long-term, we would be able to make a decision which would be based on ordinance.
Okay.
So I put right in the memorandum that this is not an ordinance, it's just strictly advisory. I said there is no enforcement, but it would give us a chance to be able to observe how this might work
Right.
from all
I
sides.
think the notice issue that was raised by Attorney Hellquist, I think what probably happened was his client got the public packet on Friday, saw that there was a letter from a law firm that supports your personal recommendation, and said, we didn't have an opportunity to respond because we have to get everything to the clerk by, 8 a.m. on the Tuesday prior to the Monday meeting. Do I think it's necessarily a winning argument in a court of law? Maybe not. But I also agree there could be some confusion that they thought nothing was going to happen. And then it makes no reference to the prior motion, and we are taking action now.
When the packet was posted, when?
Friday?
Wednesday?
Friday.
Friday.
I thought it was earlier than
The
that.
board gets it earlier.
Oh, got it. That's my confusion. Got it. Okay, so it was Friday? Okay.
So again, what are we doing?
Well, Michelle has an unseconded motion on the table to take 9A off
Completely.
for tonight. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, but then what's the issue with this notice issue? So if we vote to,
Take it off for tonight.
if we vote to leave it on, what happens with the motion? I'm just trying to understand what,
I guess we wait and see
So
okay,
if there's any sort of response from that law firm.
is there any real harm in the discussion of those items, keeping it on the agenda and discussing these items?
I think we can have discussion on it, certainly.
So,
But what I think they're trying to say is before the board can act on any of the discussion parts, we need to notice it up more succinctly.
so I think there's merit in having the discussion. I think I'm inclined to keep it on the agenda, if for no other reason, to have the discussion and then navigate through our discussion. It doesn't necessitate action.
That's true.
so discussion only, is that,
That's not what the motion
We have a
was,
motion
so-
on the floor
so we have to
to table,
table it? Is there
to
anything else on
remove
the
item
agenda?
9A
Right.
from the agenda.
Anything else on the agenda that anybody wants to modify, or, yes?
I have a question in regards to, let's see, where is it?
give, on 9C, it's an update on Walworth County junk enforcement. It's under,
Yep.
it's under unfinished business, and I believe that that was first brought to the town board at a public comment session last month, and I'm not sure I understand why it's under unfinished business.
Should have something under,
It should be under new business is what you're
I believe it should be
proposing?
business. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can move it down under new business, I guess. Is that what you're
Do you
asking?
want to make a
And
motion?
again,
We have a
Well,
motion on
after
the floor.
Michelle's.
We have a motion on the floor to remove 9A.
Oh, usually we get them all together and then
Right, but
we.
she
Okay.
can't
go
to
ahead.
make
So
a
we need
separate
a
motion.
second. Okay, I'll second the motion. And then, all in favor to remove 9A completely from the agenda, right? Isn't that what the motion is?
9A, 1 through 3,
1
yes.
through 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So now, the second motion, I think, was to leave it on with discussion only? Is that what I'm,
Don't need to have a motion for that. It wasn't voted to be
oh, you
removed.
just don't take action?
Correct.
All right.
Oh.
And then we're gonna move, so we gotta do a motion now to move,
I'd like to make a motion to move 9C, update on Walworth County junk enforcement, to under new business, make it 10E.
10,
E.
no, 10 F
There's already an E.
on the amended.
on the.
Amended
agenda.
agenda.
One agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think we got ahead of my question on the agenda, which was, I've got the agenda that I was sent to me electronically and printed, and then the amended agenda on my desk here. So with that 10E, is that the
10E is the
amendment?
change.
Yeah. And it was posted Friday? When did it go out? I forget when it was posted.
It was posted Friday, I believe.
Yeah.
And I believe it was emailed to everybody as well.
Yes.
It was emailed, yeah. I do remember getting an email.
But that was the one amendment,
Just, that's it, the 10E.
and now ours.
And now Barb's 10F. All right, so I think we have an agenda.
Now you need
Did
to
we-
pass the,
Motion.
now you need to motion to pass the agenda with
As
the,
amended.
That's a lot of,
I'll make a
Lot of work on the
motion
agenda.
to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll work with the modified agenda. All right, next is consent agenda. Anything on the consent agenda anybody needs to pull out, or are we okay with how it is? Then we just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we're now through 6. We're at the treasurer's report. Clerk treasurer's report.
so as of April 30th, total general funds, $484,727.21. Total tax funds, as of the 30th of April, $455,676.07. Total designated funds, $1,058,497.69. Landfill fund, $1,179,790.52. The sanitary district number 3, $24,608.13. Boat launch sales to date, $10,800. And this will be posted in additional documents for people's reference.
So we probably need a motion to approve your report.
I would say so.
Technically, we don't, but we have every meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve approve the Town of East Troy Treasurer's report for the month of April as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, treasurer's report. Moved. So now we come to public comments. Please be advised that per state statute 19.84 sub 2, information may be received from the public. Comments are limited to a 4-minute period per person. We further advise that there will be no discussion on the information received, and no action will be taken regarding public comments. Upon conclusion of this citizen participation segment, members of the audience are not allowed further comment unless they are participating in the public hearing or if specifically allowed by a majority vote of the town board due to involvement in a specific agenda item. So, do we have any public? All right.
Good evening. Alan Grecky, Chief of Police for the Town of East Troy. I did not put myself on the agenda tonight, so that's why I'm talking during the public comment. It is Police Week, and I just want to take an opportunity to say thank you to all of you that are here in the room and that are watching on YouTube. It's been my privilege to work for you and with you. And I believe everybody that is employed at the department feels the same way. And so it's not just you always thanking us, but sometimes us thanking you back. And I just wanted to take that opportunity, knowing that it's Police Week. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Tom Hammond, asphalt contractor.
I think I got two.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Tom, go ahead.
One of you.
Oh.
One of you go.
I know it's on the agenda about awarding the road bid. All I'm asking is that if there is an objection by some person of the town, that if they object to awarding it, that the chair would let me respond. That's all.
Okay.
It wouldn't be during the meeting, right?
Well, he's asking for me to be able to do that. If we vote during section 8, we would give him a chance to respond.
And I'm sorry, I didn't get your name and address, sir.
Tom Hammond, A-M-O-N, asphalt contractors,
Your address?
219 Sunset Drive, Elkhorn.
So I think in order to allow that, we need the board to vote to allow it, right? And it needs to be a supermajority, is that true, 4-5, is that true, Attorney Mills? Or not?
That I'm not sure.
All right. I thought so, but I don't know that it's gonna. Anyway, all in favor of allowing me to allow him to speak if we vote, what, against, or
Yes.
either way, or against, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Well, we need a second, right?
Second.
Yeah, we need a second. Oh, you
I'll
second,
second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so. Go right ahead.
Wendell Murray, M8764, Wilmer's Point Lane. We all know that the Elkhart Lake lawsuit has been filed, but it's important to note that the intimidation factor that the attorney put into the notice of claim has suddenly disappeared. In the notice of claim, the defendants included the individual board members in their individual capacity, in addition to in their official capacity. The notice of claim is a precursor that has more leeway for the attorney to, I'm going to use the term, play games. And this game they played disappeared when the actual suit was filed. The individual portion of the defendant's name or title was removed, and the lawsuit is against the individuals on the board in their official capacity only. This is an intimidation, bullying factor, and to some degree, a bait and switch. So keep that in mind as the town moves forward with the risks of being sued. The board likely, unless there's some malfeasance by an individual on the board, which we do not expect, cannot be sued individually. Thank you.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Jennifer Teffer. I live at North 8332 Greenwald Court. And I'm here to request that we not allow data centers in our township. I'll be talking to the county as well. I don't know what you know about data centers, but I'm more than happy to talk with anybody. I've done a lot of research. And there are a lot of non-disclosure agreements that have been made with different communities and different data center builders. And they've been real tragedies. People that know what they're talking about say Port Washington was the worst deal ever. So anyway, I just want to be on the record for that.
Could you spell your last name?
T-E-F-F-E-R.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Stows, North 31 Stringers Ridge Road. I got three things to mention tonight. Since we're talking about lawsuits, they seem to be a hot topic these days. I'm curious why the town hasn't followed up and told the management district that your lawsuit against us is frivolous. The town is advisory only to the county. The county is the one that made the decision to grant the conditional use for the marina in the west end of the lake. And the county is currently being sued by the management district. So why is the town allowing this to be hung out there and just another lawsuit to come back and pick a scab at? So I hope the town does something with it and takes some movement on that. Number two is, I don't know if the board is aware of it, but we have a publicly traded company that's in our town now. So CubeSmart Public Storage, which takes up all of Highway ES, it's was formerly owned by Steve Ettinger, and he sold out to a land trust, and they have $9 billion worth of assets, and they operate 25 different states. So now our town has a business that's publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So just thought I'd throw it out there for everyone to know. The last thing I want to mention is I talked about it briefly at the electors meeting, and there was some good feedback that we were thinking about possibly could we get 2 public comments on the agenda. If you wanted to shrink the time amount to equal the time we are allowed now. But it seems like with these long drawn out agendas, we'll be here till 10 o'clock tonight. If you want to address something, it's going to be difficult to do if you want to sit through 4 hours worth of meeting to talk to something or whatever. So if we could get 2 agenda slots on the public comments to talk, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Alex Trevotowski, 250 East Wisconsin Avenue. I represent D1341 Associates, who's currently trying to negotiate regarding a road right-of-way issue with the town. And I have to raise for public comment today to voice my dissatisfaction with the way the town and Attorney Mills in particular has handled this action. This first came to the board months ago, and there was an authorization to investigate. Then there was an authorization to negotiate. So far, there's been no negotiation, and from the email communications I've had with Attorney Mills, it looks like there's been no real investigation either. In particular, I saw a letter I sent passed around before the meeting, but I think the letter is out of context of the email exchanges that preceded it. But I have to reiterate what is said in the letter. We need action. My client feels disrespected by the town and the way that it has been handled thus far. In particular, Attorney Mills indicated to me that he couldn't tell who the entity I represented was. This is despite the fact that the agreement that had been sent to the town months ago indicated who that entity was. So clearly, Attorney Mills had not even read the agreement at the point that he was supposed to be negotiating with me. It's deeply frustrating. We want to avoid litigation on this issue, but if the town isn't going to take some action to move this matter forward, I can't continue to come here and charge my client money to listen to board meetings about wake boats. I totally understand that's a big issue in the town, but when I have to wait for the attorney's report at the end of the agenda, it costs my client money, and quite frankly, it's gonna make more sense just to sue the town. I don't want that to be the reality, but when my client doesn't feel like the town is taking the issue seriously, it's going to be our only result, and that's why the letter that you were handed indicates that we need action by the June, the June meeting, whatever date it falls on. Otherwise, we may have to, or we will proceed with litigation. It's simply, we can't feel like nothing is happening and come back month after month after month with no action, no action, no action. This is a bigger issue than just for my client. There are lots of road right-of-ways that appear, based on the records I can see, to be much smaller than the state funding amounts. And if this is an issue for my client, and we're going months and months and months, it could come up over and over and over again. I would really encourage this board to try and push this towards some sort of resolution. We're trying to be reasonable, but we're not receiving reasonableness in return. Thank you.
Joe, can I respond?
Typically.
This one needs to be.
I would like you to.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you all want to hear it.
What I explained to the chairman was, although the settlement agreement may have come to him in March, I did not get board authority to do anything with that or do investigation until April 16th, which was about 2.5 weeks ago. If you read the agenda, you will see that I put it on for a publicly noticed site visit so the board knows exactly what we are dealing with. So I don't agree with your assessment that the town has been dragging its feet. As everyone knows, the town board meets once a month, and I've had the authority to do something for about 2.5 weeks. That is the true state of the record.
Okay.
That's it.
Any other?
Tom Van Bogart, W2035 Beulah Heights Road. And this is just going to be a quick commercial for the Environmental Stewardship Day that's going to be happening on May 30th. I talked about it at the last meeting. One of the topics on that agenda is big data centers. Wisconsin Lakes, as an organization, is taking this on for the whole state of Wisconsin. And we're going to have 3 experts who will be talking about it that morning. So please join us. And again, this conference is for management districts, for different organizations that protect the lake, for groups like this, towns, and for anyone who considers himself a steward of the lake. And I would love nothing more than to have strong representation from all of those organizations from Lake Beulah so that we represent Lake Beulah well. So please check your calendars, come if you can. Again, it's May 30th, and it'll be at the Y Camp from 8:30 in the morning until 3:45 in the afternoon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? For? Yes, sir. Craggle? Absolutely.
Rob Siegel, North 8778 Wilmers Point Lane. Morning, evening, sorry. I want to start by recognizing something important. Tonight's agenda includes the potential action under item 9A, which is now eventually not action, but restricting the wake enhanced activities, including a 500-foot and 25-foot wake enhanced zone advisory, and that's a significant decision. I also want to acknowledge the recent election. There are new board members on this board. Wake surfing was clearly an important issue, and the voters spoke, and that matters. With that said, the urgency tonight is partly tied to that moment, a desire to move quickly and show progress. But the question is, does moving quickly produce the best outcome, or just the fastest one? What I'm seeing is not a problem needing immediate restriction. It's a fair solution that is really close to being built. Over the past 6 months, I've been developing Lake Beulah maps, some good, some not so good. Learning all about ArcGIS and working with some third-party apps. Our focus was on a 300-foot distance from shore and a 20-foot depth. I recently received additional data from LBMG, which is a very positive step, and I get to compare some maps and some data, which is great. I also get to see that both have some discrepancies, so, but we're really not that far apart. With just a few working sessions, I think if we could bring together LBMD, some map developers, and some stakeholders, we can align on wake enhanced zones that create some long surf runs, reducing circular activity, reducing concentrated turbulence, protecting the shoreline and the sensitive areas, and improving the safety for all. In most cases, zones will naturally, in both maps, meet or exceed 500 feet in 25-foot depths. In limited areas, where we might need some concession, is one of the reasons that I want to see if we can't get some collaboration between these two groups. And yet, it's so minor that it would still protect the lake bed, reduce erosion, and avoid sensitive areas. This is not a choice between action and inaction. It's a choice between acting tonight or taking a short time to get it right. I'm prepared to help close that gap after stakeholders align, finalize maps, provide apps at no cost, and that would give everybody real-time GPS data. It would give us some access to some really good tech. It will give us access to really nice maps, informational systems, and educational material. Once an advisory or ordinance is passed, it's difficult to undo. Taking a few meetings on the collaborative side aligns the data, the mapping, and builds a shared understanding. It also builds trust. Trust has been strained. In times like this, it's easy to move quickly, driven by pressure and uncertainty. But strong leadership is not immediate action, it's confident and informed. You've already taken meaningful steps. You've increased boat patrol, enforcement, we see buoy placement, AIS protections, expanded educational content. Those are real actions already underway. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Michelle Fogg, West 1305 Beach Lane, East Troy. Thanks for opening that door to talking about the lake. I've been out on the lake, we've been out on the lake. We see the fishing beds already eroded, there's sand, there's gloppy messes in the bays. The damage has already been done, and I don't think we can wait any longer.
Sherry Reilly, N9481 Island Drive. Last week, Monday, my husband Steve and myself attended a public hearing in the town of Merton where they are proposing a ban on wakeboarding. And it was a very, very interesting meeting to attend. And sitting through it It was a standing room only, 150 people maybe. But it reminded me of something that we went through a year ago. And I think Mr. Seagull kind of did say that we have made a lot of progress. And the one thing that sort of stood out with what I was listening to at that meeting on Monday, the people that spoke, their biggest concern about banning the boats was a safety issue. And many people got up and spoke about close calls. Somebody getting pulled under a prop, and to me it sounded like many people stated that once a wake boat goes by, they don't always get a chance to either see over the bow or see what happens in the process, whether it's the waves or whatever else is going on. And I felt kind of good leaving that meeting because I feel that all of us who get up and speak, we keep it on the table, and while it may be uncomfortable and maybe we don't always hear what we want to hear, it does mean that we're still having a dialogue. And to actually remove the opportunity for an agenda item to be discussed, I think is a huge mistake. I think it doesn't have to take the priority of everything, but there always can be a space. Because the other thing about that meeting in Merton, more and more communities are coming up and wanting to talk about this and wanting to make decisions. So this isn't going to go away. The other thing that was very unique, and this is kind of why we decided to go to that meeting, they have Lake Kesis, which is very similar to Lake Beulah in that it has kind of fingering bays, but then it also has Moose Lake, which is kind of a lot like Mill Pond. And even though this has supposedly been tabled, we still have to know what to do this boating season. So there has to be some kind of guidance that, and I think the discussion that was going to happen tonight, at least when I read the agenda items, it's sort of preparing us for this boating season. And even, we've been on the lake already, and these buoys are placed, or they're starting to be placed, and somebody was already complaining about where they're being placed. And it's like, we have to give it a chance, we have to at least get something in place so that this can be sort of a year to see what's going on. But we also don't want to have more severe damage to happen in this year. So the more that we can keep the dialogue going and keeping it, and again, I really appreciate his collaboration sort of tone, because I think it is important, and that's the one thing that was brought up in Merton, that maybe a ban sounds good, but here we've been willing to compromise for all this time already.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm going to dovetail Sherry's and Rod's. Sherry talks about safety. And
Name and address, please.
Oh, sorry, Mary Quirk, 1522 South Shore. Sherry mentioned about safety, and that's what I want to mention, safety. Where LBMD, I don't agree with their 525 for a safety reason. I don't know, I don't think they have gone out there and actually tried that 525 from a safety standpoint. And I would ask them to go out there and try that 525 safety without, you get that little area there, it's not going to be safe, especially if a fisherman is posted up in that zone that they have designated for wake surfing. So North Lake has made the zones, and they do not allow anybody in that zone besides wake surf boats when they're doing wake surfing. So I would suggest maybe consider that iteration to the ordinance or the advisory.
Anyone else?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Kathy Schultz, W902 Shorewood Drive, and also the chairperson of the Powder Lake Protection Rehabilitation District. And I'm concerned about the time and the energy the town of East Troy Board has devoted to a single issue that affects truthfully a very small percentage of the town's population, that issue being wake against boating. As a riparian owner on Powder Lake and a commissioner of the PLPRD, I am aware of the need to protect our lake, and I'm also cognizant of my community of riparian owners. On our lake, we have fishermen, kayakers, paddleboarders, jet skis, powerboats, and pontoon boats. And for the most part, we manage to navigate the approximately 155 acres of water cooperatively. Yes, we go around those. Yes, there are 2 or 3 wake boats owners on our lake, and though they use their boats infrequently in wake enhancement. And until the high drama incited by PLB last year, our riparian owners were not overly concerned about damage to our lake from any one type of recreation. Personally, I'm disappointed in PLB. Over its 100-year history, PLB has been a positive force in protecting Lake Buell's environment, and their stewardship has benefited many other lakes in the area. But in the past few years, their organization has changed to become both more political and single focus on wake enhanced boating. At the 2025 and 2026 meeting of electors, they packed the meeting with their supporters to make it appear that the residents of the town of East Troy supported their desire to ban. And most recently, oops, I'm sorry, I skipped one of those spots there. Regulate wakeboarding. I venture to say that the majority of the town's residents are not concerned with wake enhanced boating as much as they are concerned with how their tax dollars are spent, the safety of their community, their police and fire departments, the upkeep of the parks, the maintenance of the roads, and when is the composting site open? I was dismayed to see the wake enhanced proposals on tonight's agenda, as I thought that had been tabled until January. I'm concerned that the new board member who campaigned saying, and I quote, "My goals for the town of East Troy are focused on ensuring our town remains an incredible place to live, work, and raise a family while being responsible with your tax dollars." Yet the very first issue he brings to the table is wake enhanced boating. This topic was debated for months before it was tabled, and one of those reasons was given was to assess the impact of the mitigation recommendations made last summer. On June 23rd, the chair of LBMD and I received a letter from Chairman Jones outlining mitigation steps that he suggested to promote safe and responsible recreation on our lake. Interestingly enough, most of the suggestions were practices already in place on Powder Lake. We have had slow no-wake buoys placed 200 feet from shore for decades to keep our shorelines and swimmers safe. We have had an active Clean Boats, Clean Waters program for over 20 years to help prevent the spread of invasive species. There are no fishing tournaments on our lake. Our riparian owners do not rent space for trailers to park outside of the boat launch, or have piers with boats moored that do not belong to the property owner. Perhaps this is part of why our differences can be discussed on Powder Lake without such divisiveness. In fact, the only mitigation strategy we are working on was creating an advisory map, as we only have one small area of our lake that is more than 20 feet deep, and approximately half of our lake is only 10 feet deep or more, the other half is shallower. The possibility of even having a map raised significant concerns. Some people were seeing it as a first step toward restricting recreational boating, which was not at all what we were looking at. Honestly, because of all of the drama from PLB and LBMD's focus on wake enhanced boating, the PLPRD finds itself creating a solution to a problem we don't have, which then created a problem. I respectfully request that the Town of East Troy Board not take up PLB and LBMD's fight and spend time and energy on wake enhanced boating. Please focus your efforts on those issues that impact the town as a whole. We have so much to be thankful for in this little pocket of Wisconsin. Those of us fortunate to live on a lake are truly blessed, and our lake management districts are responsible for maintaining and enhancing the lakes under their care.
That's
the Town of
time.
East Troy Board has the responsibility of maintaining and enhancing the entire town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Steve Ewing, W1763 Lake Road. I'm here tonight as president of the PLB, and I want to take exception to some of the earlier comments. PLB, formerly known as Lake Beulah Protective Improvement, has been safeguarding the waters and the properties around Lake Beulah for more than 130 years. It was more than 5 years ago that we first brought the subject of potential damage or the potential for damage caused by wake surfing. We have been very thoughtful, we have been very scientific, we have been very patient. And we sit here tonight because the voters of East Troy have chosen new leaders that appreciate the 55% of tax revenues that are derived from the riparian owners surrounding Lake Beulah. We sit here tonight with an avid and successful fisherman who understands the impact on the fish beds. So it is time to act. It is not time to wait. As much as BRB has worked to try and educate the public and to try and move this discussion forward. It is not moving at the speed that the residents want it to, that the lake needs it to. So I implore the board tonight to act to protect the lake, act to follow the signs, act to do what the citizens of East Troy have elected you to do, and that is to protect the important resources that we have placed under your control and under your authority. Do something, doesn't have to be an ordinance, it can be modified, we can grow through the process. We're not talking about total bans. Over the course of this discussion, PLB primarily has opened the door for wake surfing on Lake Beulah, but only in areas in which it can be proven not to be detrimental to the fish, the wildlife, the shoreline, and the other people that recreate on that water. So please, don't keep kicking the can down the road. Don't wait for the ultimate solution. Do something tonight that improves the safety and the welfare of those that recreate on Lake Beulah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We will move on then. Reports of departments. Superintendent Shield, DPW.
Only two things. We had a road bid opening today for the hot in place part of our summer road. We only had one bid, Gallagher Asphalt. They did it last year also. And their bid came in at $127,696.50.
Say that again.
What?
Yeah. What?
$127,696.50.
So why did we only get one bid?
It's a process that not very many companies do. So it's a kind of special. It's reheating the asphalt, relaying it, and it's steel oil.
And it's more cost effective than traditional process?
And then milling and overlay, yeah, it saves like $100,000 a mile.
This was a process that St. Peter.
St. Peter, that they learned some major things on that one and are improving it quite a bit.
Is this the same company that England saw in McHenry County?
Yep, and the same company that did St. Peter's Road last year.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's not on your report. Which road is that for?
Miramar Road, Miramar Drive. We approved last month the seal coating part of it, but they didn't have the hot in place. The salesman had some issues, a family issue, so he wasn't able to get the bid in, so we had to send the bid back out.
Because we got no bid,
Yeah,
correct?
we had no bids.
We had no bid.
I did see the process last year on St. Peter's Road. You were out there too. Yeah, they do a preheat, then they do a final heat, then they time it, they roll it through, they re-oil it, and then they lay it back down. It's kind of like they just lay it right back behind it. And then seal it at the end. But it's pretty slick, and it did save, what did you say?
Last year was $116,000 it saved versus milling over the.
Now, I noticed that there was some pre-patching and pre-work done.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
In areas that were unstable.
Yep.
And that seems to be holding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reliability came back from how rough it was. I mean, it was, in my thoughts, it was worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
The Laurel County's gonna do some next year, and Waukesha County did some in the past. And they thought it was you think about it, you're heating up the asphalt you already paid for it, and relaying it versus milling it off, getting rid of it, and putting new stuff down.
And this contractor is the exclusive contractor for Waukesha County?
No, they're not exclusive for Waukesha County, they just, Waukesha County had some on their county, Laurel County's gonna have some on their roads next year.
What is the expected life for that type
They
of?
figured 10 to 12 years. It actually fits in the LRIP program, because in order to qualify for that, it has to be the 10-year life cycle.
Okay.
And that is a process that they approve.
And then all the alternatives will be, like you said, blow it up?
Yep.
Okay.
Which is a normal thing that we've done until a couple years ago I seen it, and it's like, it makes some sense.
Okay.
And patching is required.
Yeah.
You have to do that, it's not gonna work, right?
Yeah, there's bad spots in the sub base that shine through where the road gets real cracked up, where you gotta mill extra out and relay it.
Yeah.
So, but that's two different companies.
And what did we have budgeted for that?
We had budgeted, with the seal coating, we had budgeted 293,000 with the seal coating. And with the seal coating on this, I think it came in,
35,401.45.
was the seal coating end of it.
Plus the 127, 128, so
Yeah.
135.
And I had, just last year at budget time, I had got numbers for milling two off, putting back on. Each road was 210,000. So it's a pretty significant savings.
Then I'll make a motion
Well,
to.
just one more question before. So the notes are handwritten and not labeled, so forgive me, but 127,000, then we have 35,000, and then we've got more numbers here. Another 35,000, totaling 188.
Yep, because you're gonna have some underlying patching that needs to get done, which is extra milling and extra asphalt.
So for
Yeah.
Miramar Road and Miramar Drive for the hot place, the total cost,
Would be
when
190.
you add up all those bids, it's 198.
Yep.
And we've already, the board already approved the first round of patching? Did I get that right?
The seal coating end of it, they
Which was, that's included here, is that
Yep,
correct?
the 35.
So now it's 127 for the hot in place, and then another 35,401 for additional.
The seal coating and additional.
Additional seal coating. So for tonight, but that was already approved, so for tonight, it's simply the 127 figure?
Yeah, approving the hot in place.
I understand.
All right,
Back to you, Michelle.
any other comments or questions? So you want to make your motion, or I was gonna let you have it if you want.
I will make a motion to, but I don't remember their name.
Gallagher asphalt.
Gallagher Asphalt for the hot in place work on Miramar Road and Miramar Drive in the quote of $127,696.56.
All right, a second?
I'll second.
All right, we've got a first and a second. Any other comments?
Jean was raising her hand, I don't know.
You have,
No, I was just mathing different. I thought that Superintendent Shields said 198,000.
That will be total project.
I'm getting 163 if we take the 127 plus 35.
right,
35 twice.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The
So
patching
and
is
that's-
already done, right?
Patching is not done.
Okay.
But was it already approved? I was a little confused by that too. So is the number you need 127 or 163?
127 is what we need.
Because the board already approved both of those 30, both figures are exactly the same, the 35 and 35.
Yep.
The board already approved both
The
of those.
35,000 for the seal coating and patching.
But you see why we're all
Yeah.
confused because the number's written down twice.
Yep.
It's the exact same number.
That's that's the numbers that Gallagher and Farmer gave me for seal coating and patching. Are you the only one that has all the numbers?
Yeah,
I don't have
any
I don't
other
have
numbers.
any of that.
I don't have 35,401 place. Do you?
Yeah. Where do I?
I got it. Maybe I got the original then, I don't know. It
Must
was
have
not
been.
my writing.
No, it's my writing. But, yep. Yep.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what's confusing it, I don't know.
I agree, I didn't know there was 2 35s. There's the 35, which is the seal coating at the
Right.
bottom of the 3 gaps, right? That's,
Right.
that we did
Actually,
approve.
my mistake, you are right, 163,097 with the seal coating. The 35, I added that in.
So we already spent 35 on the initial pass.
Seal coating.
Seal coating.
Yeah,
Now,
we will be, but we needed the bid for the hot place first.
You don't seal coat till we're done with it.
Yeah.
so we need a different number. We need to amend the motion, is what you're saying?
No,
Or we're good?
no, we're good. We just gotta approve the hot place. This is that's the total between the seal coating and the hot place.
So the motion is 127,696.50.
For the hot
And I
place.
think that's right.
Yes. And the seal coating was approved last month.
Okay.
Okay?
Which is one,
And that's the total.
163. So your number is right,
Yes.
correct?
But that's total project.
Yeah. All right, so any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then we have, last week, or last month, we had the road bid opening for the new road work. And we had some issues possibly with the contractor, asphalt contractors. I went to a spring road workshop back in April, and I had a chance to talk with some fellow DPW superintendents and a few supervisors, and brought up questions about if they had ever worked with them. And they have. There was a few, this is all through Wisconsin Towns Association meeting that we had. And I needed to bring some more clarity to you guys. With my discussions with a handful of municipalities, it's still gonna be up to the board. I had talked to a handful, like I said, reasons why they would recommend not using asphalt contractors, because of issues that they've had in the past. One was a failed density test, which is the compaction rate that is looked at on how it's actually compacted, how the material is compacted. And it failed a density test for one. And from the person I talked to, their solving was we just made the price cheaper. Another one, private sector actually contacted me because he had seen our meeting. And he had said that he ended up tearing out 3 driveways because of the bad mixture. There was too much sand in it. Another municipality said that they had some bad grading and reliability of the road and rideability of the road after it was graded and paved. It had a lot of humps in it and a lot of standing water. Another was municipality had safety issues with not enough flagging, not enough signage when it come to an actual road work. Same municipality also had feedback from the public of the contractors' employees being very rude to the public as they were trying to navigate by. And myself, I've been here 26 years. We've never had them do any road work for us in the past. But there's another contractor that had some issues with them. They actually blacklisted them from 2019 to present, where now they actually are gonna allow them back in. So it's a tough one. I mean, it's a competitive business, I understand that. But this is what I was able to find out from other municipalities.
So this pertains, then, the top 4, that's what it's pertaining to, that on your note.
So, I'm curious, the mention of having to do a road twice due to poor quality?
Yep, that's the road that came in, they had a lot of humps and bumps in it, they have to come back, mill it off and relay it.
So they, okay.
The contractor had to do it twice.
So I think, you know, I watched, when this came up prior to me sitting on the board, and I went back to last year's, bidding, I listened to Mr. Neiman's comments, last month. I guess I'm really, it's highly irregular to not go with the low bidder, especially in road, in paving, because we should be pre-qualifying our bidders, right? They're bonded, they're insured, that they have the appropriate manufacturing equipment, facilities, things like that. So is that done with all 4 bidders?
Yes, they all pre-qualified for it, and this is just references from other municipalities that have worked on them.
During the pre-qualification, do we review references?
Yes.
And we deem this firm to be a qualified bidder?
They are a qualified bidder, this is just references from past years. The one last year was City or Village of Pleasant Prairie, that their city engineer referenced that I had talked to from last year.
Joe?
Yes.
So there are 2 separate statutes that say when there is a public contract, the town board shall let it to the lowest bidder. Shall does not give a whole lot of discretion there. Where municipalities have found a little bit of wiggle room is in determining whether it's a bid from the lowest responsible bidder. So in our bid instructions for all of these DPW contracts, it defines what a responsible bidder is, and what the board is supposed to be looking for. These are all elements of what a responsible bidder are. Does the bidder maintain a physical location, presence, and permanent place of business? Does the bidder have appropriate and adequate technical experience required? Does the bidder have adequate personnel and equipment to perform the work expeditiously? Is the bidder able to comply with required or proposed delivery and installation schedule? Does the bidder have a satisfactory record of performance? Does the bidder have the ability to provide future maintenance and service? Does the bidder have adequate financial means to meet obligations incidental to the work? Did the bidder include a list of prior municipal projects it has worked on as part of the bid pre-qualification worksheet? Has the bidder had any disbarments in Wisconsin or any other state? Has the bidder been cited on past jobs for OSHA violations? Does the bidder have a written substance abuse prevention program meeting the requirements of section 103.503, the employment statutes? Does the bidder have experience with similar projects? Does the bidder have financial fitness and sufficient bonding for the project? Does the bidder have proper general liability, workers' compensation, unemployment, and automobile insurance levels sufficient to protect the town of East Troy? Does the bidder have all professional and trade licenses required for the project? And has the bidder had any investigations, orders, and judgments concerning prevailing wage violations, misclassification of employees, unemployment insurance violations, or discrimination complaints? And I believe all of those are on the pre-bid qualification worksheet.
Yes.
Okay. So unless the board is finding that the low bid is not also a responsible bidder, there are 2 separate statutes that say the town shall let the contract to the low bid.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that.
I think, and thanks for going through all that. I worked, like Jean or Sherry sent me the bid language too, and I reviewed that ahead of time. And that, last month, was it Chairman Jones, you kind of rattled off some things, Better Business Bureau findings and things. This outfit, they do a mix of private work and public work. I actually looked up Payne and Dolan. I think they're the largest asphalt contractor in the state. There was one Better Business Bureau finding against Payne and Dolan, and they don't really deal direct with consumers unless you're building a large private road. So I think if we dug into each of these contractors, we're gonna find, and I did some more research on the field density tests. That's not always, when they do core samples of roads, it's not necessarily public knowledge. A lot of times it's a job site correction, either you remill, repave, reduce the price. So I think a lot of this is, while certainly, there can be issues with projects, it seems like the firm corrected it, having to redo a road due to the bumps and things, that's a responsible contract, in my view. So I guess I'm not hearing a compelling reason not to go with the lowest bidder here, is my view.
Any other comments?
So,
Did we go through that list before sending it out as far as, I was surprised to hear like some of the employee policies and things like that.
It's all part of the pre-qualification.
Okay.
and those aren't, I would imagine those aren't necessarily town of Detroit rules, it just follows a template of sorts that municipalities have. So I'll make a motion that we approve the new road work bid by asphalt contractors in the amount of $350, $380 for Miller Road and Bell School Road.
Just
Honey Creek.
Just Honey Creek.
Just Honey Creek.
Sorry, just Honey Creek.
I'll restate it. I'll make a motion that we approve the bid by asphalt contractors for Honey Creek Road in the amount of $358, $380.
Second.
Okay, any additional discussion? Did you want to say
Well,
something?
if I could just make a couple comments, and again, it's your discretion, but every contractor, you deal with dozens of density tests, and over a period of a year, you can have some of that, and that's not necessarily make a road failable either. I spent 26 years on the DOT spec writing committee, writing all these specs, and I've been in this for 60 years, so I can tell you it won't fail a road. Now, the thing is, some of these others is asphalt contractors started 45 years ago as a driveway contractor. We still do hundreds of driveways a year. So some of these private things, I would say, are not quite applicable to a town road. When you're dealing with driveways with drainage and everybody wants everything to look perfect, smooth as that tabletop, that's a whole different type of acceptance, you might say, visually by a homeowner. And we do a lot of those. And yes, we replace some because of drainage or the factor, I'll just say that, is I personally handle all municipal projects asphalt contractors did. I gave a list of 6 on this year's pre-work. We have always, on every job for the 7 years I've been with this company, always been paid in full with no penalties, always. Pleasant Prairie, which last year I put down as a reference, and I did not put it this year, we had a situation where our grader man did a poor job of putting the crown in the road. We ended up remilling the road to give it a profile, and then we, at our own expense, we scratched, is the term we use, to level up the road again before we put it on. And they accepted it. Pleasant Prairie is a very tough place to work for down in Kenosha County. Probably the toughest one I've ever worked for in a municipality. And they accepted our work. Now, there were issues because of other factors which aren't important here. I will say, last year we did the town of Lafayette on Potter Road. There's a place where we had to do it twice because we were putting gravel down on 1,000-foot of Potter Road to raise it so the water didn't go across it. My boss, the owner of the company, ran the grader, and he was really too rough. So we had to mill it back off, and the engineer came in and put some grades in, and we redid it, and it was done. So it was the thing my boss, we made a mistake. If we make a mistake, we're gonna fix it. It's that simple. And when you're doing lots of roads, but, and he referenced 2019 to 2026, that's the town of Delavan. 7 years ago, when I first started this company, they did not have any road. We had one road in the town of Delavan that did not go very well because of inexperienced people we had, flagging and all that kind of stuff. I went to the town of Delavan, they accepted our bid this year. Tom there, I talked to him, I went to the board, they said, yes, it's time to we'll use you. And we are gonna do their work this year. So it's been part of my responsibility working for this outfit, that for the 45 years I ran the Hammond and Sons, I'm trying to teach these people how to do road work. I did all the road work. And with some of these personnel things, we have people that come and go in the company, and every year we're trying to improve our health. And I think this year we have a very, very good paving crew. And our milling crew is really top notch. We're doing downtown Lake Geneva right now on Ridley Drive, and it'll turn out fine. We have contracts up to $7 million each this year to municipalities. Many of them over $1 million each. We don't just do 1 mile of road a year. That's all.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that came from other municipalities, and it's still you guys' decision ultimately.
So any other discussion from the board at this point? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're gonna give it a try.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. Okay, we have 8B.
Is that me?
No, that's
Supervisor Church.
Parks Committee.
Supervisor Church.
As I stated in the memo, the Adirondack chair is to be finished this week by the high school. And I am looking to set a soft opening date for when the chair is placed in the park sometime after this week, but it has to coincide before the end of the school year in order to have the kids come out. And I think that that's exceptionally important to have the kids come out. I would like to do the grand presentation ceremony at the 250th farmers market so that the whole town can be present if they'd like to be, hopefully. I think that this is a opportunity to put a spotlight on the town and to bring some joy to the town. And so I am hoping to ask the board to allow the tentative timeline as I've laid out in the memo for the grand presentation on July 5th at the farmers market. And that's my motion.
Are we not setting a date for the soft?
The soft presentation has to be determined by the high school based on the kids' academic and exam schedules. It would be during the week after we get the location cleared and prepared for the placement of the chair. So it has to happen before the end of the school year.
When is the end of the school year, do you know?
I believe it's June 6th, I think.
First week of June.
And what prep work is needed? Have you picked the location? I know you're.
Tentatively, the park committee went out and picked the location on Thursday. I have not yet met with DPW Superintendent Steele. Sorry, I'm sort of limited capacity at this time. So I have not met with. We have the dimensions of the chair. We have a tentative location picked out. We need to share that with Superintendent Steele.
guess I'm not clear what the motion is, what we need to act on.
I'm asking for you to approve the tentative timeline, which includes a soft presentation, which is when the high school kids, the instructor, the principal come out and we take a picture and welcome the chair to the park. It will be placed in the park, at which time we're not necessarily formally inviting the entire town to be there, because it's got to be during the school day. The kids are taking a field trip to do it, probably in the next 3 weeks, depending upon getting this location hammered out.
And it sounds like the farmer's market's coming along pretty well too, so I think looks like we'll have a pretty good showing on Sunday.
I have another comment. This is another one that might have to
Notice.
go on a different agenda, because the agenda proposal memorandums are one thing, but the notice to notify electors what they're actually showing up to possibly hear action are another. And on this agenda, it just says Adirondack chair. That's not sufficient.
And I guess I don't know how much,
Then I was not in a physical place to do it properly. I will redo it.
So,
but I don't think there's anything stopping you from doing a soft.
No,
I don't-
especially when we don't know when a date would be
Right.
anyway.
So I don't think there's anything to really take action on.
No, I don't know that there is anything the board needs to approve.
And if we have to have a special meeting for what Attorney Mills is proposing, perhaps there would be a date that could be on that agenda, so that things can keep moving forward for that.
Well, if we have a date
We're not gonna
specific,
stop anything.
Right, but I'm saying there might be discussion and possible action at that special
Well, there was-
meeting
so-
to make a final approval.
why do, layman's view of this, why do we have to be so particular about noticing when we might act on a possible date of presenting an Adirondack chair? Maybe I'm missing something. I
you
just-
don't,
No,
you
that's the
don't.
point.
However, there is also a separate town code to supervisors that lays out if you want a matter on the agenda, you have to present a agenda proposal. Which is why Barb did what she did here. I do see that in her proposal memorandum, there is a hard date for the grand presentation, which is far enough out that that can go on June's agenda if she wants board approval for that particular date.
Even if it's not required? Like, would board approval be required to present something like an Adirondack chair?
No, not necessarily.
So just to be
It's
formally announcing it and discussing it, Jean?
I know there's been discussion of this, of the wording on the agenda of discussion and possible action. However, Attorney Mills, right under our agenda, it states, all items listed are up for discussion, consideration, deliberation, and possible form of action. How would that not apply? I know this has been a discussion point in the past where things have not seemingly been noticed properly.
What possible
List.
action are you taking if it just says Adirondack chair?
Okay, I see what you're saying in that mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it was great to have it on the agenda
To discuss.
to make it public and let people know. I think it was a great update.
I'm also seeking board approval to authorize me to obtain a restaurant gift certificate from a local restaurant.
That also has notice
Okay.
problems. Not to mention, just as town boards can't generally receive gifts, unless there's part of the budget that the electors approved that had monies available to do something like this, I wouldn't recommend that the town use taxpayer dollars to buy
It won't.
certificates.
It won't.
If they're
Can we
donating.
accept a donation?
Donations.
They're different. Is that what you were thinking, donations?
Perhaps.
Okay.
specify on an agenda what the actual proposal for obtaining the gift certificate would be.
We're gonna have some meetings that we're gonna try and schedule here.
Yes.
This could slip into that.
Anything that we discussed not taking action on tonight can go on a special meeting agenda.
Okay. Then 8C is up. Before you go, Supervisor Smith, I wanted to just make an acknowledgement. This week, or I guess it was last week, Rich Denhart, who's been a long-time person serving on the Planning Commission, tendered his resignation for personal reasons, which there's no reason to go into. He ended his term as of May 5th. When I first came in, I interviewed everybody, and I guess I want to acknowledge Rich Denhart for his years of service to the town board. Rich, when I spoke with him, he represented quality, which I think the Planning Commission really makes him effective and welcoming. Rich is helpful, knowledgeable, informed, and soft-spoken demeanor on the Planning Commission is just the image our town needs to promote residents using the Planning Commission. The clear objective for me was to have the Planning Commission be a helpful resource and partner, guiding them through complex county zoning rules to help them achieve their personal objectives with their property. Rich embodies all of these qualities, and I just want to thank Rich for all his time on the board, the commitment to the town of East Troy, because he's been on for quite a while. I don't know how many years, but he's been on a long time. I know I've seen him there for a while. And then he'll be greatly missed, so I just wanted to acknowledge him before the board, before you go ahead. So it's yours, the floor is yours.
And Rich was our resident technology expert on the Plan Commission for as long as I can remember. Always come with his tablet, pull up ordinances and zoning codes and things. So.
He, when I interviewed with him, I had a question about something, and he looked up something and sent me a link and all that stuff. So yeah, he was very knowledgeable on what's going on with the Planning Commission and zoning.
Okay, so the Planning Commission report, we had one item last week, and this was for W2173 Cannon Lane. I can give you a bit of an overview, but there's a private drive serving about 4 or 5 properties. And what's unusual about this is it's a 138-foot wide right-of-way that private drive sits on. So the variance was called for I think it was 9.8-foot setback from the right-of-way, but that's not really where the private drive was. It's just an unusually large, wide private driveway that ended on this property. So they were looking for a variance on that right-of-way setback. And what's unusual about it is if it were a traditional 66-foot wide road with a 60-foot radius cul-de-sac, something that could serve dozens and dozens of homes, it would be compliant. So a little bit of the story there. The Plan Commission recommended to approve the setback variance. So I might need a little help with the motion here.
Would you like me to state it?
Yeah.
Motion to approve the setback variance as stated for Michael Marks at W2173 Dannon Lane, East Troy, Wisconsin 53120, parcel number PA 2025000003, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
That's my motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Who was the second?
Barb.
Thank you.
So now we're moving to 9A for discussion. So, how did you want to proceed? Do you want to start with one and have a discussion?
I'm not Pine Spot, the first thing on here is Pine Spot.
Well, I mean, I can speak to Pines Bach. They sent in a letter. The first one was February 9th. And I made a comment. They actually called me out in their letter on the 24th. I thought it was kind of a leap when they said that Nault was clear in her summary of research that there is compelling evidence that a setback larger than the current 100-foot setback created by statute may be required to mitigate the effects of wake boats, comma, possibly up to 500 feet. That seemed like A equals B, C equals D, A equals D. Didn't quite make sense. We were already at 200 feet, so I just called it out and said, well, we're reaching for 500 feet. But that's neither here nor there. We have these two letters. I don't think there's anything more to comment on unless somebody has any more comments.
Well, relating to Pine Spot, I got the letter late today from, was it Will Riley? They mentioned a potential conflict of interest due to a relationship with Pine Spot. I think that was Supervisor Fonz that.
Right.
Can you
Yeah.
explain that? Or-
Yeah, so what they're referring to is in a matter of the easement. My attorney is part of Pines Bach, and totally separate matter from the standpoint of, we're dealing with a survey dispute.
Right.
And it really has nothing to do with wake enhancement or wake boating or any actions in terms of activity on the lake.
I agree. When I spoke to the letter I received from the Weld Riley Law Firm, he identified all items listed under 9A. The potential request to have a supervisor recuse himself, I again did not think that request was adequate or necessary because we are dealing with two separate issues.
Yeah.
So
They're completely different issues. And, moving forward, I'll be recusing myself from any, closed sessions or discussions as far as
the survey or adverse
issues,
possession.
since I'm personally involved, so I'll be out of that.
Certainly.
Right.
So number 2, is that everybody good on number 1? Or do you want-
One thing I just did want to make a comment of is and this doesn't have to do with anything, it's just a note as far as peer review. And I was not aware of this, but they do point out that with the St. Anthony Falls study, that there was a peer review done on that. And I know that's not that any board or municipality is forced to just look at peer-reviewed information, but this was sort of new information to me. So just pointing that out.
Okay. Supervisor Church, did you want to take number 2?
I submitted my proposal before reading Supervisor Fonz's proposal. My concern is the earthen dam, which affects a county highway, which is J. I I truly believe that that lake is unique. It needs clear and identifiable protection so that the dam is not compromised. We have heard from multiple residents and multiple meetings regarding safety issues. And I thought that we needed to at least be aware that that is a dam that will affect a major thoroughfare in the town. But I think Supervisor Fonz's proposal is more clear and would take care of Mill Lake at this time as well.
Yeah, and I'll comment on that as well. Just the situation we're at with the amount of time it would take to get an ordinance in place would not, we would not effectively be able to get an ordinance in place to protect the lake this summer. So, education and advisory approach is probably the best way to go for the summer, and then we'll review that after that and see, take input and see how that all went, and pick it up again at another point.
So, do we, I know there's been some activity with regard to the earth and dam on JFK, but
It was recently rated, it was reviewed by the Wisconsin DNR. It is still listed as a high-risk earthen dam. I don't know exactly what the status is. I know that there is some vegetation that may or may not need to yet be removed, and that is handled by the county, as the county is the owners of the dam. The dam was replaced in 2015 at a cost of $969,816. That was totally absorbed by the county. That is not something I foresee the county stepping forward and saying, here, we'll do it again. I don't see that. Do I see the town being able to fix a problem like that? No, I don't. So I think we need to be proactive and take some real responsibility in protecting that dam. That was my motivation.
has the risk to the dam changed between last year and, in the past year, the past floating season?
There was an issue last fall, I believe, where there was a person that started excavating a stump in that, really raised some alarm bells. The real concern with the dam would be the ultimate nightmare would be a Lake Dalton type situation where if water would start seeping through there, it would erode and open it up, and it would just be a catastrophic situation.
It would also compromise Highway J.
So, maybe a more of a procedural question, but for Attorney Mills, but if there's an emergency situation, or if there's something that we deem as a board to be an emergency, do we require an ordinance update? Like if there's something, an emergent need on Mill Lake to protect, say, the dam, do we need an ordinance to enact an emergency measure?
Sure. The town board can declare a local emergency if there's a actual emergency that's currently happening.
Yeah.
If the board wants to move forward and take some sort of action in spite of the board's ruling back in March, that can happen, but you have to notice it up properly to change it. You can't really bind the hands of a new board with a prior board vote, but it certainly has to be noticed that you're changing course, if you will.
Okay, but just in general, if there's an emergent need, it wouldn't require an ordinance? Or would it?
The declaration of emergency, like.
You can, and you can post that too. An ordinance is more of a formal, long-term type solution to governance where, there's penalty provisions in place and this, that, or the other. you can have a resolution is not as formal. And you can have a resolution as long as it's noticed properly as well. That doesn't necessarily include the enforcement behind it, like an ordinance would. But what Supervisor Fonz had mentioned earlier, you can certainly have an advisory resolution that could be posted.
Yeah, in the March meeting, the vote was actually on an ordinance that was put forth by LBMD. And then that was tabled. This is actually this is not an ordinance. This is just a advisory recommendation.
Okay.
Again, which was put forward by LBMD, just facing the realities that an ordinance isn't going to get in place.
And I think the confusion that was brought to my attention this afternoon is, I think as part of the motion, it said the board would be taking no action whatsoever to see how the summer mitigation strategy plays out. So I do think there could be some confusion reading this agenda,
So,
what's happening.
for the record, I intend to bring a motion to rescind that March action that Michelle Reyes made to table the vote issue until January 27 at the next meeting. So I think I'll want to make sure that's noticed properly, my intent to rescind for our next meeting, June.
Make sure that you put forth a supervisor memorandum like Supervisor Spons and Church had done for this meeting too.
I mean, I think it's an invalid motion, but I just want to clear it up because I don't think it's just wholly improper to table something for that period of time. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, but, so you're saying we need to make a motion, vote on rescinding that before we can have a special meeting or bring it up at the next?
It should be noticed as such, yes.
All right.
And then if you're going to do resolution versus ordinance, make sure that is also stated what your plan is.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the same memorandum as follow-up, but.
Right, but the way it's noticed, it just said,
yeah,
wake enhancement recommendations.
Right.
Well, is that via an ordinance or a posted resolution, an emergency declaration?
So,
well, recommendation's a recommendation, it's not an ordinance.
It is, but you have to, some people might not show up for a resolution, but they want to show up for an ordinance because it's a more formal document. So we have to be as specific as we can. You're not going to always be able to identify, down to the last dotted I or crossed T. But if it's not your intention to do ordinance, state what it is, what your intention is.
Okay.
Because my understanding of the intention, from what I read, is for Lake Beulah management to district to implement a recommendation, which, why is that coming to the town board if that's what the management district is planning to do?
Well, the reason for that is to adopt and support that recommendation, as we would be the ones to put a sign at the launch. So I believe, I believe because we have the contract with the DNR, where I believe there was a situation in the past where LBMD wanted to put a sign at the launch, and they were told they couldn't, it had to be the town, because the contract, the relationship with the DNR and the town. DNR controls what, I know, there isn't just anybody that can put a sign up. So that would be the reason for doing that, and
the DNR has to approve any signage that gets put at the boat launch, okay? It has nothing to do with who owns or operates. one of the points that I guess I had with this is I happened to be on Potter's Lake, so I happened to see, we just went through a whole new sign. We paid for it. We put a sign up with updated boat rules. We're talking about approving an advisory or depth map. We're planning to do that too. It all has to be approved through DNR. It does not have to necessarily go through the town. And so the way I've always operated, and you know, that's subject to everybody to talk to here, but the way I've always operated is if it affects the lake directly, then it probably should be the district that is collecting taxpayer money that would take care of those costs.
Well, but
One thing, can I finish, please?
Yeah.
One thing that we do as a town, because we have a land use contract with the parking lot in Wilmer's Landing, that is, the DNR owns that property, and they allow us to use that for parking. And part of that is we collect fees at the boat launch, and part of that goes to boat patrol, part of it goes to help replace that in the future. The boat landing itself, whether the DNR owns it or not, and I've had a lot of conversations with them, they tend to, if they own it, they repair the launch like the concrete platform and stuff, if that needs to be replaced, they would replace it. If they don't own it, they typically offer grants and help the town that is responsible for that. But any signage the DNR usually has to approve, always has to approve, before it can be put up.
Yeah, I think the situation in the past with LEMD was that the DNR said that, you know, the town had to do it. I don't know, maybe it was they had to approve it or something, I'm not sure, but
That was
Attorney
from
Mills,
the
are you
DNR?
aware of, I mean, because there's an interacting relationship with the DNR, and I want to make sure.
I can only speak to, not necessarily my experience with the DNR in particular, but I think it's been experienced by many in the general public, depending on who you ask or who you're speaking to with any state agency. You can get one answer from one person and a different answer from a different person.
Yeah, well, that's true, right?
I think a lot of this discussion we're talking a lot about signage. I think that misses the overall point to the memo. I interpret it as just getting something, starting the conversation, putting something formal around regulating the use of wakeboards on Lake Beulah, and that's a responsibility of the town, regardless of who can or can't post something at that boat launch. It's currently a responsibility of this town board. So
Why? Why isn't it?
Because we have not delegated it to the management district.
No, an ordinance the town is responsible for.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do an
Right,
ordinance.
I wasn't able to finish, but I think my interest is discussing and you know, trying to create a framework by which these machines can be regulated. So, I don't think it matters who posts something at that boat launch until this town board decides to or not to take an action to regulate or advise on the regulation of the machine. So I think there's a comment, why not kick it back to the management district? At this point, I don't think that would be appropriate, because we're talking about regulating the use of these machines, and that's our responsibility.
There's a difference between a regulation and a recommendation.
Yeah.
You're proposing a recommendation, which is not through the town board.
Well,
I
There's two
think it's our right and our responsibility to do that, because if Lake Beulah Management District has already made the recommendation.
I mean, this is a health, welfare, and safety issue for the citizens. So I think it is a responsibility of the town board to give an opinion on this, or to act on this, even if it's a resolution adopting a recommendation. There have been Oneida County and Jefferson County, as counties, have done resolutions recommendations you know, even though, and there's a lot of municipalities that don't have ordinances that they give recommendations. Ours is actually very conservative. 25,500, Green Lake is 40 feet and 700 feet. And they do have a sign at the lawn. I looked it up. So there are municipalities that have adopted that. And safety is a big issue with this, especially with the camps. Booth Lake just prohibited wake enhancement. Big issue there was the Memorial Beach and the Girl Scout camp. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Not necess- I mean,
Or depth.
The depth.
oh, well, yeah. I mean, a big part of that, I was at the meetings, big part of that was the safety for those areas. Yeah, it's not as big as, less segmented, but, you know, the areas of the Lions Camp and the Beaver Camp are not big areas. So, you know, there is a very significant safety issue, and I think the town board needs to be clear in terms of, you know, what would be best for, you know, even if it's just recommendation for operating these boats in a reasonable fashion. Yeah.
So Attorney Mills, if we were to, I don't think we're gonna act tonight, but if we were to craft something like a town advisory, it's not an emergency resolution or what have you, could we notice a resolution based off of the memo for the next meeting? Is this enough to create a resolution?
Hearing Supervisor Fons say what his intention was for the town board to basically endorse Lake Beulah Management District's recommendations for the 2026 boating season. Make that language part of what's on the agenda.
And that would be a resolution?
Well, I put it in my memorandum, but I didn't put it specifically on the agenda.
But then we would notice that as a resolution?
We keep using different words.
Well, right.
We're very
We know it's not, they're not requesting an ordinance. It could be a resolution because those are generally shorter in span of time than an ordinance is. If you want to say, motion to adopt Lake Beulah Management District's recommendation on wake surf, recreational activities through town advisory bulletin or posting, or it just has to be more specific.
Then I want something from you that explains exactly what you want in my memorandum, because I wrote move to authorize. I don't understand.
That's in your memorandum, it's not on the agenda.
But I don't write the agenda. You and the chairman write the agenda, so what am I supposed to do?
You submit
for
the
you?
agenda topic. I didn't touch that agenda topic. That is something submitted by each
Then you
supervisor.
tell me, I thought I'm supposed to do the memo. I submit the memos and I say at the conclusion, move to.
Properly noticed agenda issues have been discussed many, many times over the years.
So,
I got shut down because I didn't have something noticed properly. So.
Everyone has, you know, and sometimes things slip through the cracks.
and not to belabor this, but I mean, I think the town's been at this for a couple of years now, so humor me a little bit. If there's a need to create an emergency, you know, if there's some sort of inclement weather that damages that dam, for instance, and it's, you know, it's an imminent threat.
Yeah.
Would that be something, it wouldn't be an ordinance, it'd be time bound for the season till we repair the dam, something?
That's an emergency.
Would that be a resolution?
Right, emergency orders are actually identified under town powers and how they're called, what they're called for. It would go as long as it need be.
The emergency.
3.24 sub 13, emergency orders which can only be issued for disasters, weather-related issues. They are not long-term, And once the problem is fixed, the emergency order immediately goes away. And that was
Right.
from the DNR's Robert Nealon, who is in charge of the waterways that we would go to with any rules or changes.
I mean,
But did I hear that the county is responsible for the dam, so would they do the emergency order?
They could get some prodding from the town, say you need to declare one.
like we
I
did.
believe
Yeah.
the Lake Buell Management District has control of the dam based on the water levels. That's why Stu Auger goes out there and removes boards when the water is too high. And he lets the town know that the water is too high and that there is no wake situations on the lake.
The same thing was going on at Potter's Lake.
Oh,
Yeah, high water,
With all that stuff going on, we were
damage to the piers and shoreline.
opening the dam to make sure we regulate it properly. But the main issue, and I'm sure it's for you guys too, is not to go too low, because then it's hard to get more water if it doesn't rain, so
Especially for us, because
you gotta be careful.
we don't have any floodways.
I guess there's a couple of points that I would like to talk to on this. So maybe to help frame what would come next or something. I know I've tried for the past year to get, I wrote down some stuff so that I don't meander. To get human beings on all sides of this wake-enhanced boating issue to come together with a common goal of finding a way forward together. I can clearly report that we all have failed in that goal. To me, this issue is more about boater behavior and quantities of boats on the lake than it is about one specific boat type or feature. My approach to solving challenges is to first lean in on trying to get people to come together in mutual respect, to compromise and collaborate to solve difficult, non-black and white concerns, which it sounds like we're making some headway after a year here that there might be collaboration. Much like Powers Lake and other lakes have done with advisory zones, obviously a methodical escalation process would be necessary if people were unable to come together. But a regulation or banning or whatever is really a final step. The state statutes also factored into this because anything more restrictive than what's in state statute falls entirely on the town. So it is their responsibility to not only put the ordinance in, but now to police it, to cite it, and to regulate it. The sheriff and the state will not do anything with respect to that. Under safety, I heard numerous people speak of safety concerns at the 421 electors meeting, describing many situations where adults and children were pushed around and manhandled by waves against piers and otherwise. Quite frankly, on my lake, I have witnessed personally 2.5-foot waves or better pushing and manhandling my 6 grandkids and family without a wake boat. So a lot of it has to do with the quantities of boats, the numbers that are running around. It's worse during the 4th of July because there's 8 or whatever boats out there flying around. Usually the people that are riparian owners don't go out on the holidays. They usually stay off the lake. But anyway, I've witnessed that myself. It primarily concerns occurs when I see jet skis, pogo sticking, and ski boats flying around, 8 or 10 of them, and other boats filling the lake. It gets to be a very busy time. Poor behavior becomes more apparent, has a greater impact when the quantity of boats are very high. It's very difficult for me to assign all nuisance wave problems to one singular watercraft. It seems like a more holistic problem, and that's why I've steered to try and find a way to get people together to control behavior. A reduction in size, quantities of zones, will most likely force the boats into circular paths, which I've heard is not what everybody wants, because that'll just expand the size of the waves and stuff. You need more straight runs that would allow the waves to dissipate without building on each other or amplifying. Wave size will magnify much greater, and the number of boats within a zone will become more congested. So I see, like I said at 2 meetings ago or whatever, there's a public safety issue on both ends of this. If you do nothing, and it's the Wild Wild West, you don't try and control anything, it can be a public safety concern. If you restrict this to a narrow enough spot where, in fact, I did a little math, and you technically could be taking it from 4 zones at 300 feet to 2 zones at 500 feet. Rough numbers, don't quote me please, I just did some quick math with pi r squared. And it takes it down to, we have about 40 boats on Lake Beulah. It would take it from 4.5 acres per boat to about 2 acres per boat by doing that. So you're gonna start congesting things. I think that's something to consider. There's both ends of the spectrum, there's a safety problem. For one, the ordinance. My issue is, why would we go to an ordinance unless we talk to all the lakes, understand who all wants in on that? And also, the advisory zones would effectively eliminate Mill Lake. And I think Mill Lake is the only thing I've heard consensus on for about 4 or 5 months, to restrict lake enhance on both sides of it. So I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I just would like us to take a very detailed, complete process control. So, I mean, I put out something last year that shows what an ordinance takes to get done. And it can go as high as 150 days to get that through. So we should put everything in. If we're gonna put something in, you should probably try and be complete with it. And it's all I was trying to say with that. The main issue for the past board decision, from what I could tell, discussed the issue all last year. It was decided not to implement any ordinance considering steps we have taken. Boat patrol hours, we're increasing that by upwards of 30 to 35 hours now on Lake Beulah specifically, where that wasn't there before. We now have 200-foot buoys for slow no wake, which wasn't there before. And the advisory zones have always been available to do. I called for them numerous times last year. Why are they an issue now? Why didn't we do advisory zones back then? So it's a little frustrating for me because I've been through this for an entire year already. We also, as part of the board, there was consideration of the legal impact, and just quite frankly, you go one way and you're going to get sued by the other side, and if you go the other way, you're going to get sued by the other. It's our responsibility to also protect the town and make sure this is thoughtful, science-based, and public safety-based. The cost responsibility, I think I talked about. Typically, my rule of thumb has always been, and I think it follows on Potter's Lake, is if it affects the lake itself only, the Lake District as a taxpayer-funded body takes care of it. So that's where I would think this would lie. I guess the board can discuss that. And then just making sure, there was a lot of campaigning done on hearing everybody's voice and getting the will of the people within the town. Have we reached out to Potter Lake? Have we reached out to Army Lake? Are we looking at all this? Just a couple of points I wanted to raise as we consider going into the future with this.
Can I just make a few comments
Sure,
as well?
sure.
Just first off with Powder Lake, I didn't talk to everybody, but I knocked on every door on Powder Lake. And at these meetings, I get the impression that there is an issue. Granted, there's only 2 or 3 boats there, but I would like to hear more from the Powder's Lake citizens, because Powder's Lake has about 4 acres of 20 feet or deeper water. Now, if you go less than that, you're gonna be impacting lake negatively. I mean, that's just what the science shows. So how do you do that in 4 acres if you're not just going in a constant circle? So I think moving forward that we do need to address this as a town and address all lakes. I haven't talked to anyone on Army Lake, but Army Lake doesn't even have 20 feet of water. So, you know, that sort of speaks for itself.
I understand, but it's another lake in the town, and it doesn't have a lake district, so.
As far as some other comments, as far as compromise, Lake Beulah Management District did a study, and they did a lot of research, and we got results that are consistent with other studies. And we're more on the conservative end, the management district stating parameters of 25 feet deep and 500 feet from shore. A lot of lakes ban them completely or prohibit wake enhancement. Others have 730 feet, 530 feet. Very few have less than 500 feet. The 2 that did have less than 500 feet were Elkhart Lake and Lake Kesis. And Lake Elkhart just voted to prohibit them, and Lake Kesis had a public hearing where they are looking to ban them. That did not work. As far as North Lake and Powers Lake, they have advisory there as well. Powers Lake has 190 acres of space to work with. North Lake has 125 acres for their zone. Lake Beulah is not ideal for wake surfing. It's got 4 deep basins excluding Mill Lake, all right? So on Long Lake, we have about 40 acres. Off YMCA Camp, that deep basin by the White Bench is 17 acres. Off Beaver Camp is 25 acres, and then go to Dockside, that's roughly 40 acres as well.
Yeah.
I think that every attempt is trying to be made to work out a compromise, and that's what our advisory is. The two proposed areas are on bookends of the lake, which avoid the 2 camps. So, you know, we're trying to consider safety, but also those are the transit areas of the lake. It's very dangerous if a boat's coming across with these big wakes. And you mentioned, and we hear it all the time, that all boats do damage in shallow water, and that's true. But, and everybody, that's why we have slow, no wake and shallow, mostly shallow areas, and all boaters should be aware of that. You know, we can't equivalate and say just because somebody does damage in shallow water with a bass boat that it's okay to wake boat in there. Everybody needs to pitch in. However, wake boats are designed to make big wakes, and they are big boats, significantly different from any other boat on the lake. I mean, we're talking 26 feet, weigh 8,000 pounds, dry weight, put 4,000 pounds of water and have 630 horsepower. There is no other boat on the lake like that. They're designed to make big displacement waves. So it is, and you talk about, you know, we have to watch too. If there's a 2.5-foot wave coming in, we have a dog or a young child in there, you have to keep an eye out. But it's different when it's a 4 or 5-foot wave coming in. And we've seen that. And people, or if somebody is out on a raft and they're closer to the buoys, and let's say they're holding onto a jet ski or they're got a kayak there, they're banging into each other. So wake boats are uniquely different, and that's why many lakes are treating them differently and acting in the fashions that we're seeing around the state. This is not unique to East Troy. So, you know, I think it's important, you know, when we talk about state statute, it's clear that nothing's going to happen soon. So it is, I think, the duty and responsibility of a town board to look after the safety, health and welfare of the citizens, protect our resource. You know, these lakes are some of our biggest assets. So we have fortunately, Lake Beulah, we have our own patrol boat. I've heard some people on Potter's Lake say they would like some patrol there. I don't see why maybe we couldn't consider randomly towing that boat over to Potter's and putting it on there. Good. I mean, so a lot of citizens expressed to me when I was out campaigning that that's an issue for them.
That was expressed to me by Potter's Lake.
I'm in support of that,
So-
completely supportive of
I
that.
get it.
Yeah, I mean, so,
I've been calling for advisory zones since July last year.
and what advisory zone were you calling for?
I was asking for people to come together.
Oh, that was, all right, I thought you personally.
This is why I wanted to keep this on the agenda, so that we can go all on record having the discussion. And I'd like to invite, riparian owners on Potter's Lake. If there's anyone on Army Lake, I haven't heard anyone on Army Lake speak on this topic.
I think there's only 5.
There's not many.
Right.
And then I think we've heard a lot from a lot of people on Lake Beulah, but I'd like to get a framework created to discuss and possibly act on an advisory resolution, gather feedback, invite feedback from residents of the town and riparian owners. And a number of you are in attendance here. If you can, if members of the town, riparian owners can provide that to us in writing ahead of the next meeting, that gives us time to digest it. It's really hard to react to a 4-minute comment and then getting cut off halfway through your remarks. And then I'd like to do this as expeditiously as possible, so we get a full boating season with some sort of definitive advisory guidance, so that everyone in the community can wrap their mind around a depth requirement and a distance from shore requirement, so that we can advance the discussion. And I agree with your comment wholeheartedly. An ordinance take minimum of 150 days. I mean, I think that's completely unintended off the table for this boating season. So it's just more how I see it.
I have another final comment real quickly as well. The reason I think another benefit of LBMD's recommended zone approach, is it does give us a summer of observing both if the wake surfers find this works, and I know there's concerns that there's not enough space there. Unfortunately, that's how Lake Beulah lays out, but everybody still has to follow safe boating laws. I mean, there's times anybody's out on the lake, you have to shut down or avoid other boats, and everybody is ultimately responsible, and I'm glad you guys, that Beulah Responsible Boaters is doing a sort of educational forum on boating safety, so the timing of that is perfect. So, but that ultimately everybody's responsible for following those safe boating laws that are there to keep everybody safe. But I think the real benefit of doing this advisory is it will give us information that we can base future decisions on. And we'll seek feedback after the summer and see what comes back.
Anything more on this?
I'm ready to move on.
I'd like to hear from our town citizens about our $500,000 deficit and work on spending some time to resolve it. Maybe even just once every 3 months, versus every single one.
Good idea. So let's go to 9B. I'm not going to go through a lot here. I put it all in my memo. I've done a lot of research on that property. I think after talking with the county, all terminating roads need to be P1 at away. That's what it sounds like. If we go to Wilmer's Landing, it's P1, park zoning. So I think it's R2 right now, so I think it's very clear that the property needs to be rezoned in order to be able to support either a pier or weed harvesting by Potter's Lake. At the end of the day, I kind of laid out a process, actions and timeline. I did talk to Sewer Pack, and if we have to, we can probably do a wetland delineation for about $1,728. I have spoken with the Lake District, and they're willing to share in that cost if that's necessary, but they're not interested in sharing or covering that cost if they're not going to be able to use the property. So that's I think that's a fair position to take. So where I was at is, has everybody at the board been down at this property?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have all, you? Okay, you. Okay. So I guess either the field trip was required, we got 4 people. My thought is to at least move forward with the rezone, let the town go through the rezoning process to get the property set up. I personally think we should probably first have a discussion whether it's going to be, we're going to let Potter's Lake continue to use that property for wheat harvesting on Potter Lake. That probably would streamline what we do going forward. If we're not, then we still should get the result.
I think we do it a little bit different order.
Okay.
I think we start with the wetland delineation, because that's gonna help us understand just how much property we're dealing with. And if it comes in as I expect it would, it would kind of be shaped the way it is today. But if it does, the town owns a lot of land down there.
No, that's all Potter Lake land. That's 2 parcels.
Well, that's a large piece of property in that right of way, which is like it's sort of like a defunct right of way. But I think we would want to do the wetland delineation first, because if the wetland delineation came back and I walked it, but I'm not a surveyor, I'm not an engineer. If it came back and it was all wetlands, well then it's C4, it's not even B1. So that should probably happen first, and you would need that before you get a rezone completed anyhow.
So we don't have any funding for this in our town budget,
So, and that's where I feel, I agree with your overall assessment. I walked it, I think there's not enough, it's zone residential, I forget if it's R1 or R2, but there's no way, no how you can get a home down there. It's an outlet at best. But I think it's really not in the town's interest. And unfortunately, we're in this position because, someone highlighted an inaccuracy in the zoning, and now we have to, dot our i's, cross our t's, get this corrected. But it's not to the full town's benefit to use that property, it's to the management district. So I think I read Ms. Schultz's comments, and the Potter's Lake Management District isn't authorized to pay for a wetland delineation. I think they have to be cut back to the management district. So I think we have to wait until we've got some data here. I think we need to wait for the Potter's Lake Management District to authorize spending money on that delineation, and then we act, because we can't assume they'll approve. I think we have to wait for them to approve.
So then we're gonna refund the $1,700 if we don't let them have that property? Is that how we're gonna work that? Because, I don't think they're gonna wanna spend $1,728.
I think we need I think we need to see an action by them to authorize the spend.
Explain that. I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, what if the wetland delineation comes back for $1,700, at a cost of $1,700 some odd dollars, and comes back it's a wetland, and it can't be P1. Now the town's on the hook. That's my concern. It's not a lot of money, but I think it would be proper for the Potter's Lake Management District first.
So what are we gonna do if we say Potter's Lake is gonna use that property? What are we doing with that property? That still needs to be rezoned.
No, it's wetland. It wouldn't be P1.
I think it's the chicken or the egg thing going on here for me. I'm having a hard time.
Well, what's compelling us to act on the wetland delineation? It's Potter's Lake Management District. So we should wait for them to authorize the funds before we act. That's how I look at it. And they haven't.
Well, and I have a question. When I looked at the property, they have a conveyor out there. There's also a conveyor in the public launch. So I'm just curious what the situation is for the meat harvester on Potter Lake. Is that, are they dependent on that site, or do they have other sites? What has been done? What are their options?
I don't really want to speak entirely for them, but the depth is better at this site to get the harvester in there. The bay over by the boat launch is getting pretty shallow in that area. So it's a little more difficult to get the harvester in there, and especially when the water level is low, it makes it extremely difficult over there. So,
But they do use both sites.
typically, they'll use the Lake Lane site. That's typically where they're going in and out.
I think they're moving it today because they were doing fish stocking at that location. So I think they do move it around.
No, it had nothing to do with it. That was two separate ones.
I was down there while they're prepping for the fish stocking today.
Right.
It is,
Where?
that location,
At Lake Lane?
on Lake Lane,
No, we didn't stop at Lake Lane.
at Lake Lane.
they were, I talked to an individual that was responsible for stocking, and she was down there today.
To look.
Looking at the site to see if they could stock.
Right, and they couldn't because they had moved the harvester.
Right,
So
that's what
they're,
I'm saying.
right.
She expected that the harvester was to be moved so they could stock.
No, the harvester wasn't, she didn't know the harvester was gonna be. No. They had moved the harvester separately. That was put out today, and so when she saw that, they changed the location of the fish stocking, which from Lake Lane to the boat. That's what we did.
I guess, fundamentally, where I'm at is this has been used for decades in this capacity. I don't see a need to rush this through. I think take our time, allow Potter's Lake Management District to fund a wetland delineation survey, and we go from there.
Okay. That can be discussed. I mean, I've already had input that they don't want to fund it if they're not going to get to use it, so.
Well, and I think
I don't know why we should fund it.
I don't think there shouldn't be a funding, the issue is.
Well, I think what we could do is, Attorney Mills was to research drafting an agreement. I don't think that agreement has to be conditioned upon a rezone. I mean, technically, it's out of compliance, but the county is going to give us some latitude here to get this corrected.
I did review a possible permissive use agreement, but I think that's maybe getting ahead of ourselves. There hasn't even been a board vote whether the board wants to allow this town property to be used for this purpose for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, indefinitely.
Does that necessitate a rezone, a permissive use agreement?
Technically, what's being stored there now, it sounds like shouldn't even be stored there, based on what county told you about zoning.
Correct, that's why I did the research, yeah. It's supposed to be a P1.
So can we give them a permissive use if it's the wrong zone?
Not really.
No, it's R2. And it's beyond me why it's even R2, quite frankly. It doesn't.
Well, it's just like a lot of other properties in the town, especially on the lakes. It got stamped R2 50 years ago, and no one's ever looked at it since.
I think the other consideration is what other uses could this be for the town, such as a fishing pier, it's level. When I looked at it, it looked like you could maybe get 3 cars angle parked there, you know, where there's a remnants of a gravel road or path there that could be enhanced. There'd be a ton of excavation or slate.
But that too is all speculation until there's wetland
Yeah,
delineation.
right, it would be dependent on that, although I think we have other areas like Beulah Bog that are in sensitive areas that are there for, you know, specific purposes there. I don't know if a fishing pier would qualify under the same, you know, whether that would be allowed within, if that was a sensitive area. I mean, technically, the staging pier down by the Lakeview Boat Launch is right, if it's not in, it's exactly right next to that sensitive
And,
marsh area there.
and it was brought up by Aaron Cox that it probably shouldn't be there. So,
Well, there's a pier there now, though.
I know that.
Yeah.
She said it probably shouldn't be there.
Okay, so we're
she
back to
was-
square one.
Well, that's where I think this becomes a little gray. She was saying, oh, that's there, try not to go on the other side. So there's some, I think there's some willingness to, you know, work with us a little bit.
How long has it been there? Is it a grandfathered pier?
Oh, where?
I'm talking about what's coming off of the town land where the harvester is sitting currently.
For the Lake Lane, is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say it's less than 30 years old. It looks.
It doesn't have to be
look
that
ancient.
old.
No, it's not.
It's
It looked like an old pier.
April of 2012, I
It
believe,
wasn't, I mean, I walked in.
is considered
Is
grandfathered.
grandfathered.
Anything that was in the water,
I believe
Oh.
it's June 11th, 2012
Yeah.
June?
is the date. I believe so.
Could look at a aerial view to see if it was there.
GIS goes back.
Yeah.
If you look at the GIS map, you can zero in through multiple years historically.
I'm pretty sure it's April.
To see.
But
You're probably-
2012.
2012, I know this is the year. Yeah.
So, so we're taking no action, and we're just saying Potter's Lake take action, or, I'm trying to understand clearly.
Well, yeah, if the board's not taking any action, you can't even give a directive to Potter's Lake, this is what you need to do.
Right? Oh,
Well, so could we take an action, to proceed with the wetland delineation pending authorization by the, Kathy put it in her memo, she'd have to take it to the management district, pending approval by the Potter's Lake Management.
I'd say you wait until they come back to the town with a proposal, hey, we'll pay half if you pay the other half.
Or whatever it is.
Regardless of the outcome of it.
I mean, we've got, the progress has been made, you've got the estimate.
yeah, I got a lot of work done. No, it's pretty well put together. Okay, so we're putting it back in the Lake District to,
Yeah, and
Comes
then
back.
did Attorney Mills get a chance to draft a draft agreement to send over their way?
I gave him a draft
Well,
from a land use, and then he reviewed it, and that's.
I reviewed it, made changes, and then we also had I mentioned last month, we had a permissive use agreement for the town park.
Yeah.
So, until I knew what was going to happen here, I didn't spend a whole lot of time working on a permissive use agreement, because
Yeah.
we might not have one.
Well, I think, to me, it would make sense to proceed with the permissive use agreement draft so that then the management district could review that. Could we do that as well?
We could, I already had prior authorization to review the draft permissive agreement that Chairman Jones gave to me as a reference. And I actually did go through that one already with suggested changes. I just haven't brought it forth to the board yet.
You wouldn't have to necessarily bring it, if it's just a draft, could you bring it to, could we share it with the Potter Lake Management District? I mean, do we have to see it first? It's just
If you want the town to be bound by it, I'd have the board approve it first before I send it to Potter Lake.
I'm not suggesting we're bound by it, just to give them an indication of where we're leaning.
But if they're gonna agree to it, and we haven't seen it yet, then how are we gonna agree to it? And
Fair.
Which we can't even do if it's not P1.
Right,
Right.
So, I mean, it's a moot point.
that's kind of where I was at.
So,
Right.
would it maybe be best to
So-
move forward?
Where do we want to go with this?
I agree with Clerk Law. We need a proposal from the management district, not a representative of the management district. That's all we have right now. An intent expressed by an individual. That's not the expressed intent of that management district.
That's approved by the board. The board approved that one, I think.
They did have discussions,
Do we have a copy of that? Because that's not how I read yours.
when there was a
There was
survey
an agenda.
discussion.
When there was a survey.
Discussion, I think. Anyway,
No action, it can come up on a future agenda.
So this would not.
Yeah.
Unless someone wants to make a motion to authorize the chairman to approach the management district there regarding payment of a delineation, wetland delineation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we can do, but here, so, I mean, this wasn't a memo from Ms. Schultz, this was in Chairman Jones's memo, but, approach PLRD Chairperson 5-1 regarding willingness to cover delineation costs. She indicated based upon previous Powder Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District Board discussions regarding the prior survey costs, there would probably be a willingness to cover some, if not all of the costs. So I haven't seen, that's not definitive to me.
Because there wasn't a necessity for a survey. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have.
So I think,
Yeah, I mean, it's for discussion, right? And it was regarding not the wetland delineation, it was regarding the survey.
it was regarding the
Right.
survey, correct. And then it was decided that maybe a survey wasn't necessary, and then there was the wetland delineation was a may kind of thing, it wasn't an absolute thing. And so again, with the budget constraints and everything, trying to keep it minimal.
right, I'm just looking out for the $500,000 deficit, I'm gonna call it deficit, but the funding issue that the county has too. I have a hard time explaining to someone that doesn't live on Potter's Lake why they might be liable for, any costs associated with this. That's where I'm coming from.
So what do we want to do?
Well, and what can you do,
Can I ask a,
based on the way the agenda's written?
could I ask a question?
Possible action on the Lake Town
In
property.
terms of whatever it is you
What does
need.
that mean?
Lane Lake.
We have some, we
Do
would
we-
need
do
some
we wanna
guidance as to what you need.
Allow their willingness to let her speak here or not?
I think it's not, it's germane to the topic, so.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, I would just, whatever you decide you need to have done in order for us to look at being able to use the property the way we have been using it, which is, we park the harvester in the water, we offload the weeds, through the conveyor that's there, into the trucks and we drive away. We've been maintaining this property for 4 years. We have been paying for the electricity to come to the light pole. There would be that, we have a shed up there that, all of that, because we were able to use the property. There's, having a public pier there, quite honestly, the management district is not really interested in that, if in fact we're gonna have the harvester there, because that's, the liability of that is ridiculous, I think. But whatever it is you decide you wanna do P1, X5, 110, bingo, what I would need, whatever it is you're asking from the district, I would need some guidance with that, because I'm not real clear on what it is you're exactly asking us to say we would be willing to pay for, what we want, whatever. There's a lot of stuff being thrown around here, and it's not real clear to me what the purpose of a lot of these things are. I don't understand, the wetland delineation is to say whether or not yay or nay it is wetland, is that what that would do?
No, it draws a line where what land is.
Okay.
I think, you wouldn't be able to
We would be able-
a harvester in a wetland, right? Like,
I assume that.
So you need the wetland delineation to determine, is this a viable P1, for P1 zoning?
Okay.
And where you can draw the boundary for the P1 zoning?
Okay,
Which
so
would
if-
allow
All right, so this is land that we don't own. So it's in essence asking us to pay for a wetland delineation. If it comes back and says it's not a wetland, that potentially, then you'd say, oh, well, I'm gonna appear there and be able to park 3 cars. And so we paid for this so that you could appear at Powder Lake.
But by the same token, it's town property that's not zoned
Right.
to allow what you're doing there to have happen.
Right. However, this was agreed upon with previous, I'm granted it wasn't in writing, but this isn't something that Powder Lake just decided, it's not like we've been squatting there.
Understood. I'm not saying that,
It's 100% been discussed with previous boards, and they were very aware that it was there, and it was fine that it was done.
So you're representing the management district, that's your, it's a chicken or the egg thing, that's your concern, right? You wanna make sure you're protecting the management district.
Yes.
It's our responsibility to protect the town's interests. There is no reason to perform a wetland delineation survey unless we intend to zone this P1 and come up with an agreement that allows for the leaf harvester. So, and we're not, and the town isn't in a position where we must do this. It seems like it's the management district's strong preference to continue parking it there, and I understand that. I don't, and I think we're all on record. You know, this is clearly not a residential parcel. You couldn't build a home there. So it's, you know, someone's got to trust. You know, one party has to trust the other. So I think there's an avenue here where you could resolve, the management district could resolve to pay for the wetland delineation survey conditioned upon entering an agreement with the town.
And so if we pay for the wetland delineation, and it comes back and we can't use it as it is, then we're just out $1,700.
Yeah. Or the town would, you know, so
But if it's not
or the town, I mean, someone, if, I don't think that would happen, but if that did happen, someone's gonna be out the money. So would it be appropriate for the Potters Lake Management District to be out the $1,700 or the entire town?
It's not our land.
You want to
Okay, so how about so if it is, but you're saying we're gonna pay for it either way. Whether or not we get to use it, we would have to pay for it. Well, I'll have to run that past our board.
Because how do I explain this to someone that lives on Bell School Road that doesn't use Potters Lake?
How do you explain putting up signage on Lake Beulah that we put up ourselves? How do you explain that?
Okay.
Yeah, but that's my perspective.
But it's the same, I understand that, but there are,
I think,
I would need guidance as to what exactly it is you need from the Powder Lake District in terms of.
I think I provided.
No, I need it in.
No, it's from the board, not one of you.
I don't need what you think, I need it from the board with the attorney's approval, I know it needs to know exactly the language we want, exactly.
And that is a reasonable request.
that would have to go on a future agenda.
Okay, let's, just short, keep it short, okay?
One question for clarity, if the wetland delineation came back and it could be zone P1, would the board allow Potters Lake to continue to use it?
We need an agreement. That's, I think the board authorized Mills to start working on an agreement last
month.
I think it was more a letter of understanding instead of.
So then,
If it comes back favorable, that we would be able to use it if you're asking us to pay for
We
it.
put a letter of understanding.
Right, that's, I think you could condition.
And I'm not on board, for the record.
You could condition it.
so, we'll put it on the next agenda, I don't even know, am I putting something together, or are we just putting an agenda to say we're gonna authorize you to put something together to send to them? I'm struggling with what that agenda is.
A motion to authorize the board to approve contact with Powder Lake Management District's payment of wetland delineation.
In the amount of $1,728.
Okay.
Just like we do road bids.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna put this on the next agenda.
I'm gonna need more than that to explain to rest of our, I'm sorry, but to just say to them, the town would like us to do a $1,728 wetland delineation to see whether or not we can continue to use this property, potentially that belongs to the town. I'm gonna need a little bit more,
It's not potentially belongs to the town, I think it's
No, no.
determined that it's.
potential that potentially we'd still use, but it
Oh, sure.
belongs to the
Sure, and
town.
that can become part of the motion.
It needs to be,
That can be part of the motion.
so I know exactly what it is, I'm explaining to you.
Okay. Let's try to move on if we can. I hope so. 9C
Got
is, oh, and it got moved, sorry.
So let's go to 10A.
10A. So, discussion possible action to appoint Michelle Reyes as the vice president. Per ordinance, we're supposed to do this every year, so I'll make a motion to appoint Michelle Reyes as vice chairman for this coming year.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that carries, that was easy. 10B. So, I got two emails that I put in here, one from Emily and one from, I'm sorry, let me find my notes here. Rachel. And there's a sample letter that Supervisor Reyes put together for our last town in the back. So it would be a recommendation to the county traffic agency, or commission, sorry. What they're asking is, with that death of the individual on there, these people are not technically from the town of Troy, but in the past, when we've had intersection issues, I just thought it was important to bring it in while it's fresh to discuss it. And I did speak with, I am struggling to find my memo. Should be right here. But I spoke with Rich Huff at the county. He was very amenable to take a look at this. In fact, he took it on, that he was putting it on the agenda for the next traffic safety commission meeting. I think it's in July. But I still think if it's something, I know we have a lot of residents that probably pass through that intersection, so it's on the agenda for the board to discuss, and if we want to authorize, this is the letter that probably all the yellow would have to be adjusted to, for this situation, but at least we have a template for what we've done. It would just add our board support to, hey, take a look at this and see if we can do something. So I'll leave it open for you.
Can someone help me understand exactly where the fatality was? I know it was in that area, but and we got these screenshots of the map. Was it in the intersection? Or?
No, it was just past, I think.
Is it the Dutch thing?
Well, no, it's not. These, what Rich Huff did is he gave me they do monitoring and traffic accidents, and so they're just showing that the ES intersection had a lot more accidents than this one, and therefore their opinion is that the state of Wisconsin, DOT is probably not going to take much action, but they're willing to look at it again and put their voice behind it at the traffic commission.
So there was, and forgive me, I didn't write down the individual's name, but there was one letter on the topic that mentioned, school buses making a turn on that intersection, a lot of traffic going to the school.
There was town line.
Town line.
Yes.
There was town line.
Yeah, voted by Prairie View and the,
Well,
No, it was
no,
20
no,
and-
no, no,
no,
it was
It
on-
was
20 in
Rachel's,
town
right?
line. Yeah.
Heavily used by school business, young drivers,
Yeah.
maintained.
It'll be on 20.
Heavily used by farm machinery as well.
So, I would, like, if we do a memo to,
He opened the door.
that was just noise.
Yeah, if we,
Stop talking.
if we send the letter to the county, would we attach these citizen
Yes.
letters to it?
What we've done, if you look at the bottom of that letter, we usually put the citizen names, and so, down at the bottom, you can see I added 2 names, I just put a draft so that anybody who would take it on has something to work with.
I thought the letter mentioning the school bus traffic and the general school traffic was, you know, critical and, yeah, I think we certainly
That's the
want
letter
to
by
do that.
Brittany Frederick.
It adds a little bit more weight to the,
Do we offer suggestions, or do they review and they?
We're asking them to put it on their agenda at the traffic commission, and then he's already developed a slide and sent it down there, so they'll be talking about it, and then they'll discuss what actions, monitoring or whatever, like what happened with, East Miramar.
Miramar, right.
So they went through and they did a traffic study,
Yeah,
and they checked
okay.
how many people came,
Yeah.
and then they finally came to that
And the-
conclusion.
When we did that, the chief provided us with the accident history
Right.
at that location. The chief participated at the safety commission meeting, and I did as well. So I think to Chairman Jones' point, it depends on the number of accidents in that area. We did recently, just in February, submit the intersection by the schools there. So, I mean, I don't know if timing matters, but, yeah, the county's very good to work with. My understanding from this fatality is it was kind of a one-off, it was a distracted driver issue. So, I think it depends on the repetitive
The only
incidents.
observations that I've noticed is, or noted this for a long time, is coming in from the west on 20. You're coming into that hill that dips down and coming back up in it, and they have people coming in there pretty hot. And like at J, where they come into the residential Lakeview area, they slow it down to 35 as they come into the Beaver Camp and this, the old school there. So I mean, not that we would, they can study it, obviously, look at that, but
That would be
makes sense.
what WIS DOT could possibly do, right?
Right.
Slow things down, but one thing that's gonna add complexity to this is, if you remember 20 going through the 43 intersection was all tore up last year, well, they're gonna shut down from like the cemetery or so, all the way out to the town line. So
Okay.
this year, it's gonna be shut down, so that just adds a whole different level of complexity, but
well, and what's interesting about that too, if you're, I guess, facing west, if you're coming through town, and say you're turning left onto town line,
Yes.
that hill, so those, especially in the afternoon, the sun coming from the west, below that hill, it's almost like a shadow, right? It is difficult to see those vehicles. And then it's 55 right up until, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred feet before that intersection. So you're 55, 55, 55, and the first intersection you come across is an intersection that's trafficked by school buses and, high school students turning left to get to school.
Yeah, they're coming out of the whole area.
I can certainly draft the letter once again and see what kind of priority we get in order to move on. So I will make a motion to draft the letter regarding safety concerns on behalf of the residents named for Wisconsin 20 at Town Line Road.
And we were gonna try and key in on bus traffic and visibility / speed.
Coming in from the west.
And it was in the letter from
Actually, the 2 letters are the same letter.
Oh, okay.
Right,
They just
copy and
They
paste
just
it,
copy and
yeah.
pasted it. But I wanted to give both of them recognition.
Yes.
Rachel, Sean, and Brittany.
Frederick?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Rachel.
Any further discussion?
No, I'm sorry. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move forward with that.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, then we go to 10C. Oh, this was the ordinance 1605-240. One of the points I was talking with the chief, the police do not put out buoys, so it seems kind of ridiculous to have this on here. It has typically been, I guess, from the Potter's Lake point of view, and actually even from LBMD point of view, I think they've been dealing with the buoys. So I proposed some recommended language just to be able to authorize Attorney Mills to go forward. If you have edits or comments on recommended language, please offer it, and then we can.
So you're just codifying
To make it
the management district in addition.
Right, to make it official.
Right, and then the police have secondary type.
Right.
They have an urgent thing
Okay.
they should have. I mean, I talked with Chief Gurecki, and I think they probably want some authority, so
Sure.
I left it in there.
Okay.
So
But-
I'll make a motion to authorize Attorney Mills to review ordinance 16.05.240 sub 1, markers and navigation aids.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So then we go to 10D. Um, 10D, discussion on the Camp Charles Ellis Association swim buoy application. I had a few, I gave each of you some comments. They are right at a critical habitat, like from what I could see, and I think the one picture I gave you from Google Earth, I would just want to see the DNR look at that before we sign off. I would just like them to talk about the critical habitat, what is allowed or not. I mean, I see a secondary pier over here and right in the critical habitat. I just don't want to get the town involved in approving something that
Do we know if the DNR looked at it already or not?
I don't think it.
Yes, it's
Oh,
not.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So, just to give you 3-minute background on this, I participated in a Zoom meeting with the management district, and the management district had said things are gonna be done differently now that all buoys will need to be permitted or the DNR can pull them. So I called the management district and asked, are swim buoys grandfathered in, or do we need to get a permit? They said, we don't know the answer to that, let us call and get an answer. So they called the DNR. The DNR said, let's put it through, let's get the permitting, and have everybody follow the same rules. I spoke to the DNR directly. He's seen the maps. This swim area has been there for 125 years. It actually was done that way in conjunction with the sensitive area to help keep boats out of the sensitive area. So, the swim pier the swim area was there well before the sensitive area was put in place. But to answer your question, yes, the DNR has seen this. The only issue he had is what's the distance between where the swim piers are and where the 200-foot buoys are to make sure that there's good navigation for boating between that. And there's 100 feet difference between that, which is wider than the actual channel that boats navigate through on a regular basis on Lake Beulah.
So these type of buoys are different than the Solano Lake buoys. Those require an ordinance, these just require a permit.
Swim buoys go through the DNR for a permit.
Yeah,
That's,
and so we would approve the permit and then they would go to the DNR, is that how?
Well, on the application itself, local government authorization, we can either approve the application, subject to DNR approval,
Yeah.
or deny the application. Those are your options.
What is the active use of the camp today? say?
The active use?
Yeah.
It's an adult camp, it's a social camp. There are 60 families that are members, so they can bring guests out. It's fourth generation of families that have been coming to Lake Beulah and being good land stewards of the property. I mean, we work with the DNR hand in hand in all of our management practices. We're recognized for being environmental stewards, and we will continue to do so.
And this is the main swim area for the entire camp,
It is,
right?
it's the main swim area.
So the intent is to protect swimmers for safety of the
Oh, to have a
individuals
safe
swimming and using
zone
the raft
area.
and things.
Correct. No boats should go through the swim area.
When I talked to Robert Nealon from the DNR, he said swim buoys define where the swimmers are. He said the town agrees or disagrees where the waterway markers are placed. Once we sign it, we give it back to the applicant, they return it to the DNR. No further action is needed by the town.
Okay.
And these buoys have historically been there?
Yes, we replaced them. We have new ones now. The ones that we had were just old and very rugged looking. So with all new buoys going on the lake, we opted to purchase new ones.
I struggle with selective outrage on critical areas. I struggle with it because we're getting sued because a marina is in a supposed critical habitat, and here we got a.
Well, this is protecting an area. No boats should.
No, you could, I mean, it says in the ordinance that you have a significant number of swimmers. So you're gonna be potentially in the critical habitat with swimmers.
No, they never go outside of the buoys.
But the
The
buoys
buoys are
are
not in the
showing.
sensitive area.
But, so,
Do we know exactly where the critical habitat starts?
Absolutely.
That's why I gave you the map here.
I see the map, I'm just looking at it.
So here, this map, which is off of the DNR map, right?
Yep.
It's right off the DNR, shows it coming in over the top of this here. So I'm just, again, DNR doesn't do a super job on locating things, but it's close enough that I think we should at least have a discussion.
I mean, I think it would be more protective because no boat can go through that under power. I mean, if you don't have.
It has nothing to do with a boat. It has to do with keeping people out there swimming and beating up the critical habitat. That's what I'm thinking, but hey,
All right.
if that's not a deal, I guess that's not a
I mean,
deal.
maybe, I don't know much about that, but with or without the buoys, you can swim there, right?
All I'm saying is the DNR there's special conditions for the DNR to, if it's in a critical habitat area, the DNR has to consider that. And so I just want to make sure that it's understood. I would like clarification.
If I may
Yes, go ahead.
speak. Just like in our peer placement ordinance, the town board says it will not approve a new structure or anything in the water in these sensitive areas unless we get DNR approval first. Well, here specifically on the application, it says town board approves, but it's subject to DNR approval, so it's basically the same thing.
We approve it, give it back to the applicant, he takes it to the DNR. It is then up to the DNR to say yay or nay, or to permit his buoys.
Right.
All right,
I mean, it's a DNR application.
Yeah.
all right, we'll overview it.
All right, so what's the motion?
I make a motion to approve the Camp Charles Ellis swim buoy permit as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. So
I think you made a good point. Do we need to request the same, the YMCA camp and the Beaver camp?
I talked to, Camp Camp Edwards with Jody Camoys. He is working specifically with the DNR. He told me he has done it for 40 years this way, and that he was working strictly with the DNR. So unless he comes back to us with an application,
If it's a DNR application.
I don't think we have any direction.
And who's that, Camp Edwards?
Camp Edwards.
I don't know how they could do it.
Right, if they're working with the DNR, then we have to sign it.
Right.
I understand that, I explained it to them.
So does someone have to reach out to the other camps and ask them to do the same?
Well, we should look at Beaver Camp. I don't know that they have actual swim area buoys. They're sort of set back in an area where they have like a little rope with these little floaties on their beach area. That's all I've ever seen there unless somebody else is. But we should approach them, to be honest, yeah.
So who wants to do that?
Clerk,
I can
do
reach
you
out to
have
Beaver.
contacts for?
Yes, I do. I have current contacts with the Municipal Emergency Operations Plan that I try to keep updated every year.
Okay.
I reach out to them.
So is that something that you would reach
You want to
out?
reach
or
out
do
to them,
we-
and then just provide it to some, you want someone else to be delegated?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I can reach out to them. Do we want to do it to
Oh,
Beaver
sure.
Camp and?
And the YMCA.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Those are the two, I think so.
So,
Army League.
There was, I think that we're in the past, I could reach out, Clemens had a Sloan Awakening or two up there, I could reach out to them and find out if they're intending on doing that out. I don't think Nagel seems to anymore.
We're not
But as I'm on the lake,
particular
if I see it, I can
application,
approach
so I
them.
think it's okay.
I mean, I'd rather, if this is the rule, I'd rather everyone get their applications in early so that, I mean, worst case to me would be that these camps have to remove these buoys, which is a safety measure for swimmers, right? So I, especially since they've been there historically.
Okay,
Okay,
10E.
so 10E. I think that falls to both of you, right? One of you for the license?
Right, it's a 1 month license that we got the DAB to assist with in this current year so that they could have their farmer's market stand.
They only are requesting 1 month?
So the property changed hands
Yeah.
and so then the prior license is moot because it doesn't transfer to the new owner. So Sherry reached out, got authorization to allow them to apply for a single month application to allow them to have access or opportunity for.
They're only going to have events in June, the
Oh.
the Fridays in June,
Oh, that's it.
yes.
Well, and then we have to reassign, usually that's July.
Yes, and they've applied for the new license,
Oh.
for the new time period.
Oh,
this
so
next
this
year.
is-
So this is
one
the
year
interim,
through.
it's just a
Right.
1 month
Yeah.
to get them,
Understood.
It expires on June 30th.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Fair
make a
enough.
motion to approve issuing the Class B combination license for Honey Creek Events. Krista H. Galbraith, agent, doing business as Honey Creek Collective for a period commencing June 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So then we have 9C, which
Right.
is the junk.
We moved that one.
Yeah, that's what we're
Yep,
doing
yeah.
now, because we're at
It's now
10F.
10F.
Call it 9C.
9C has
Yeah.
become 10 now.
I should have said 10.
It's now 10F. I just wanted to update the residents regarding the public comments at the annual meeting of the electors, with an update on junk enforcement at W562 County Highway L. There were concerns that nothing has been done, but the county has been active They have recorded multiple citations. The memo is included in the packet and posted online. There was even physical abatement and removal of some of the vehicles by the county. And I know there are multiple people just kind of watching. It's kind of maintaining right around the same number of vehicles since those have been removed. But I believe it is being monitored as well. So I just wanted to make sure that was addressed, that the vehicles, it is being monitored, and it's still not perfect, but it is actively.
I did reach out to Rick just because it kind of came on his behalf, and he said, you know, they don't have 10 million people running around double checking everything forever and ever and ever. So what he did say in this instance, this specific instance, they had gone to the level of litigation and they had won the case. So, and I think it's been a couple of years since they actually went in with a tow truck and pulled stuff out. So if there is more complaints or anything, we are able to, as a board, vote to send them another notice on it, and it's covered, so we should be able to get it wrapped up.
And I think that there are some citizens that individually reach out as well, question about, you know,
It's been
operating a business there and.
Do we know if there are additional, I'm not from, I mean, historically, I don't know what was taken, what that was like before. I did drive by and look
It was
at it.
probably about.
Is it reverting back to that again, or?
And it's sort
A
of.
little, but
Okay.
not, definitely not to the extent. that-
All right.
No. So, and it is not zoned for what's going on there. And that's part of the reason why the county did the lawsuit and everything. So it's been, these things, there was a case study that was given in a PowerPoint presentation from Michael Cotter when I was down on, I don't know what it was at the county. And, I mean, it can go 5, 6, 7, 8 years by the time they give the owner a chance, and then, you know, back and forth, and then it's fines, and then they go to court. It can take a long time to make these things happen, and it just was made, at the comments, I think the reason why you brought it up was, it just was made out to, like, nothing's going on, and I don't think that's fair, so
It's been multiple years, yeah, that it's been ongoing.
Well, and I think the bulk of like blight and junk issues, primarily, the bulk of it falls under zoning, so it ultimately does land with the county. I think we might have, and I tried to look through our town ordinances, we don't have much for blight or junk.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Mostly covered.
But we do have the ability to take a board vote, send any additional complaint down, and they'll probably take it to the final step. I just wanted to communicate that to everybody.
Did we have a formal request to do that?
No, I have not.
All right.
But you should know the status. It's teed up.
All right.
It's teed up. So that's 10F?
Yep.
So now I can hand this to
Yes. Attorney Report 11A, discussion on the intergovernmental agreement between the town and TLPRD. We sort of touched on that earlier. I did get an edit of a draft permissive use agreement. I have made some suggested changes. I can put it on next month's agenda with a draft for the board to review, and then if we want to forward it to that association, we can.
So where I was going with that earlier is could we send it, could we make that draft available to them like prior to normal agendized notice, like just advance notice? What's the, so that they're not getting it a Friday before a Monday?
We can put it on a special meeting agenda if we get a date before the June 8th date.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I
you'd
can-
have to have the draft ready for us to review.
And all I'll have to do is type up all my handwritten changes. So that's how we'll address 11A. B is Resolution 2026-9. This is a follow-up from last month. We received a Wisconsin Towns Association draft regarding a letter supporting comprehensive and sustainable transportation funding solutions in our state. Basically, all I had to do is plug in the municipality. Otherwise, it's the same resolution that we reviewed last month. So I'd ask that the board take a vote to approve Resolution 2026-9 as drafted.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-9 as drafted.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next is Resolution 2026-10. It's a resolution scheduling the next annual meeting. Based upon the motion that was done at the annual meeting, resolution says now therefore be it hereby resolved, the electors of the town of East Troy in annual session move that the 2027 annual meeting be conducted on the 20th day of April at 6:30 p.m. at the Town Hall campus, and that the clerk is hereby directed to publish notice, if need be, as provided by statutes. Dated this 11th day of May.
I move we approve resolution number 2026-10, resolution scheduling the next annual meeting for the 20th day of April 2027 at 6:30 at the Town Hall campus.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 11D, this again is another follow-up from last month. There was a request that the Plan Commission meeting be changed from the third Wednesday back to the first Wednesday. So the ordinance change, this is not a new ordinance. The amendment says section 2.80.020 sub 2G is amended and recreated with the following italicized language. Commencing June 1st, 2026, all matters to be heard by the Planning Commission, approval or denial of an application shall be heard at a single monthly meeting date, unless the Planning Commission wishes to table a matter to give an applicant additional time to present requested evidence. All Planning Commission meetings shall be heard on the first Wednesday of each month. That is the only change. Italicized language is the words commencing June 1st, and then changing it from the third to the first Wednesday. Remainder of the ordinance remains unchanged. This ordinance shall become effective upon its passage and publication as provided by law.
Is this this is the second time, right?
This is a second amendment to that same ordinance about 8 weeks ago.
We don't need to do this 2 meetings in a row?
No.
Okay,
No,
that's
only
kind of what I
It's
was
an
asking.
amendment, it's not a
Right.
new one.
Okay, new ones.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2026-13, an ordinance amending section 2.80.020 sub 2 sub G regarding single monthly meeting dates for the planning commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item, 11E, notice a possible quorum for a site visit down at the old Lindy's property for anyone who's interested in seeing what the road and the right-of-way looks like, its historical use, whatever questions you might have. I don't know who is familiar with that intersection or not, so I indicated I was going to ask the board for a date that everyone could agree on to go down there. And in case there is a quorum, we have to notice it up. I know that Supervisor Church has some dates that she might not be available, and I know Chairman Jones has some dates, he might not be available.
So we should start with this week, right?
I guess we should start this week. Busy week.
Yeah, the sooner the better, I suppose.
I'm available Tuesday, Wednesday. This week.
We don't have enough time to, I don't think this is an emergency where we can post notice if it's tomorrow.
We need 24 hours unless it's an emergency.
Right.
And this is not. So Wednesday's the earliest.
Wednesday, Thursday.
I'm good.
I'm good, yeah.
At what time of day? I know I have a 4:30 appointment. I'd be available after
5:30.
5:45 would probably be the earliest I could get there.
On which day?
Wednesday.
On Wednesday this week?
Like we just say 6 o'clock.
Or we can just say 6, I suppose.
Then you're not crazy rushed.
And it might only be a 10-minute meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna see if Todd was available, just in case he wants to do measurements. Just to show what 49 and a half feet would look like versus where it is.
I think that would be helpful. And then if we can identify, is there anything marked? Like, has there been any recent surveying done to anyone's knowledge?
I don't think there's any markings.
There's no markings that I'm aware of.
No, but there has been surveys done, I believe there have been surveys done, so I think, yeah, they go back,
We know 66 cut through the building.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can talk to Todd tomorrow.
Okay.
I don't know how much we can, it's a road. You know?
Right. So is that good with everyone?
6 o'clock.
Is that good with you, Alex?
I can make that work.
Okay.
6 p.m. Wednesday, May 13th.
Are
Yes.
we meeting at the Lindy site?
Yes, I suppose, shoot, the chief left. Is there no parking down there? I can maybe reach out to, the dockside,
Museum?
John Tamusian. See if we can park in his lot, maybe?
Could we,
Can't Chris
Can't we
just
park
give
in
permission
there?
to
Yeah.
out there as a representative of the property owner?
right.
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Park at Lindy's.
Yeah. We'll go out there.
For 15 minutes.
Are we just
Yeah.
noticing this is a quorum, not a special meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
So we can't put those other things on this.
Well, and you can't.
Not on this one.
And you can't.
But we also need to schedule another date that's tied to the same property based on that, letter. We have to have a discussion before the June 8th board meeting.
Is it too aggressive to just meet 6:30 on Wednesday then? Do a site visit?
Back here?
meet? Yeah.
We could, I suppose, if everyone's available.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm already missing a little league thing, so but this might as well screw up the whole evening.
So that if
24 hours,
So then
so
you could be there by 5:45, maybe you wanna bump it up to 5:45 if you're gonna do a meeting after. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I want you to be able to get there, but if you can be there by 5:45, that just gets everybody out a little bit earlier if they come back here then for a meeting.
That's fine. I was more concerned about noticing up the closed session meeting. I'm about to get that language to you tomorrow. To schedule a closed session meeting on Wednesday.
It was just a suggestion. I don't, rather than staggering all this stuff, it
Yeah, get it all done.
doesn't have to be Wednesday. I don't.
But if there is no conflict with Joe or Barb for that day, we might as well try to get it done.
Yeah. I have to
I'm
put
good.
another appointment. Can you do Wednesday?
Are we keeping it at 6 or
So
5?
are we saying 5:45?
If we want to meet at 5:45 at the Old Lindy site, and then 6:30 here for
Or
closed
6:15?
session.
We'll do 6:15.
Yes,
15?
notice it earlier so that
Yeah.
we can
before-
start it afterwards.
We can always
can't-
start late.
True.
Can't start it early.
So 5:45 on Wednesday, May 13th, at the Lindy's property. I'll get the address, I believe it's W1340. And then,
41 probably.
pardon me?
1341 probably.
Oh, that could be. And then 6:15, special town board meeting, closed session. At the town hall.
Want to add the other items or no? The other items that we.
Oh. Yeah, probably, sure.
How
We
big
can
is
talk
this?
about the agenda.
Yeah, I don't want
We
to
can
go
talk about
like
the agenda.
4 hours, 5 hours.
What's on the list?
Well, there's,
We didn't take any action items on 9, but those might be able to just carry through. Barb had, oh, actually, that could probably wait, the hard launch for the chair, and I don't think the board needs to act on a soft launch date.
Right.
And I'd like to act on my motion to rescind. Can we add that to the agenda?
You got that? Sure. And that's, I believe that's all I had under attorney report.
Do we want to address the highway, the delineation on that date, or do we want to wait till tomorrow?
Oh, I think we probably wait on, well, it's up to you.
Would that give you enough time to just add that draft to the agenda?
I can. Board have, board approved draft intergovernmental agreement. We can put that on Wednesday.
Not that we necessarily have to act on it, but we can just have it there for discussion.
Sure.
well, we have to approve it to be able to send it to them, right?
Right, so it would be on for discussion and possible action.
Discussion and possible action.
Yeah.
So it would be to approve it.
I don't think so. I think as long as if we can act on a draft, if we're in a position to possibly act on a draft, then I think everything's teed up to have the conversation with the management district.
I don't think we want to approve.
I think you're putting the chicken before the
Yes,
egg in that situation, because
I agree.
why would we need an agreement if the delineation doesn't come through?
Right.
But it's already written. I think it's just to review and possibly act. Because someone has to express an intent, a framework to possibly move forward.
Well, to be fair, when I was reviewing the draft, the proposal of the draft you sent,
Yeah.
that was before I had any information on the rezone and whether we can or can't use the property for this purpose.
Not as an R2, I don't think so.
Right.
So I think it's just discussion and possible action, then, I mean, if we're not in a position to act, we're not in a position to act, but at least that gives us.
Yeah, we don't have to act.
At
I
least that
will
gives us,
have it ready. I might not have a draft available till we get to that meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
The agenda item you would have.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's try and look through the rest of this.
Okay.
More meetings.
Yeah, I know. 12A.
sorry, just, so did we have to make a motion on that, or, I forget where we were on that 11, did we have to motion that, or is that?
11.
For 11E scheduling?
Yeah.
No,
That's just,
we're good.
We all agree.
The first one, A, is the municipal emergency operations plan. We really need a meeting to sit down and review that and understand what each of our roles are, and like, where's our command center, and different, little details like that. I don't know that I want to try and squeeze it in until June right now, because I'm going,
Do you want to get back?
yeah, can we, are you guys good with that?
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think it's urgent.
So, do we want to?
Does everyone have a copy?
Should have, I can forward another I can forward an updated copy. The
What was
only
that
thing
from?
that's really changed is names,
Yes.
and then I kept the camps updated with their contact information. I can check on a few other contact information pieces. But I can certainly get an updated draft out to everybody.
So do we want to set a date in June, or do we want to just move it to the June 8th and talk about setting a meeting, or what's everybody's
Maybe just put it on the June
can
meeting.
we just add it, add it to the June meeting, or is that too soon?
Yeah, what?
Is it?
No.
I don't think you want to talk about that at the June
No,
meeting. It would
no,
be
okay, that would take some
extensive.
time.
I think
It's like a work-
schedule
it's
a
a workshop.
workshop. Schedule a
Yeah.
workshop in June.
So we'll do it at the June 8th.
Motion to table?
Oh, we need a motion to table.
Uh,
I'll motion to table item 12A, scheduling a meeting to discuss the municipal emergency operations plan till June 8th.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
No, it
carries.
says possible action.
It's true.
So that was a wasted motion?
Well, no, not really, because the minutes should reflect something, and we didn't take no action on it, so.
Okay. So item 12B is, there is an operational planning meeting, I think I sent everybody for the East Troy Railroad Bridge. I really would like to get a date put together for them because they're waiting on me to set a date. So it's that week of July 5th through the 10th. Does anybody have any issues in that week? And it would be probably during the day. He said it would be during the day. Does that affect work?
If we can do like, between 11 and 1.
Okay, I think we can. I think they're gonna come here to the town hall.
Does the board want me at that meeting or not?
What's that?
Yeah, that doesn't work with my work schedule.
Oh, yeah, right.
11 to 1 during the middle of the week.
Right. Yeah, you're on site.
How about early in the morning?
Could we do like a 3 o'clock?
I think we could with them. I mean, I could give them 2 or 3 slots if you want.
I
Couple.
can adjust this.
So what if we just said 3 PM any day of that week,
Does the,
Monday through Thursday?
I need to
With
know if
notice.
the board wants me there, because I'm not available the 8th or the 10th.
This is a production, they call it an operational planning meeting, so it is the first time. I don't think it's required. I don't think you need to be there.
Okay.
It's to really give an update on where we are with the project. So, 3 o'clock, any day that week.
Monday through Friday?
Let me look.
So it'd be
What?
6th.
So the 4th is celebrated on the
6th through the
3rd.
10th.
6 is Monday.
Yeah, 6th through the 10th.
6th to the 10th, yeah.
And we just ask them which day is gonna work, and then get back to you, tell them we gotta have one of those days.
Yeah, the only thing I had potentially there is something on Friday. But otherwise, if we could do it Monday through Thursday.
Sure,
I
6th
can-
to the 9th.
So the 9th, 6th.
Three PM. All right, then the last upcoming, okay, that's yours to talk through the upcoming meetings, the chart.
Thank you for adding this link. Third Wednesday.
Does anybody have any questions about the dates? They're published in the packet, they're on the agenda.
Open book is just with the appraisers on the phone.
Yep, Open Book is a phone call appointment with Associated Appraisals. The phone number is on our website. If you have any questions, reach out to us in the office and we can certainly provide that phone number if you can't find it on the website. And then Board of Review, if you're not happy, reach out to us on what has to happen at that point for Board of Review. Otherwise, everything's pretty straightforward.
Thing.
Anybody got any meetings that are not on there that they want posted on there? All right, perfect.
I don't know of any myself. Everybody good?
Court meeting June 3rd, 4 PM.
All right, June,
I don't know how far out you're going, but the next planning commission meeting on the other.
Oh, sure.
schedule.
yeah, now that we've had that approved, we can certainly put that on there. So that's gonna be June 3rd.
What time?
6:30.
Thank you.
Okay. So, now we go into, we have to give a statement. The purpose of the closed session is to confer with legal counsel regarding strategy and legal considerations related to resolving gap issue on county mapping at the boat launch property and competing ownership claim. And then we need a motion to move to closed session.
10 p.m.
I'll make a motion to move to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G to discuss legal matters.
Second.
10 p.m. closed session.
Reyes, aye.
Jones, aye.
Third judge.
Okay. So we're, regular adjourned. Oh, he said I didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I don't have to formally do anything.
No,
Just.
That's not.
All right, and then we're